Our tale begins beneath a stunning sky. We observe a monk asking someone if they wish to learn about Yonho. We are introduced to the living Buddha, Master Mu-san. A lanky scholar declares his desire to understand Yonho's story as he's gathering details to chronicle his legacy. With a strained calm expression, the monk explains that Yonho, known as the luminous martial emperor, was a deeply compassionate and honorable man. Surely the Buddha sent him to guide them. Thrilled, the scholar begins noting everything, remarking that it aligns with his expectations. He inquires about Yonho's daily life. The monk appears visibly uneasy. Unable to maintain his composure, the monk, swearing at Yonho, admits he can't continue. Shocked by a monk's curse, the scholar is thrown into disarray. The scene shifts to the Hubei Peng clan, where the scholar is expelled from their midst. We meet the furious supreme elder of the Hubei Peng clan, Peng Dojuk. Enraged at the mention of Yonho, he demands to know why a miserable, despicable person like the scholar dares to inquire about Yonho. The elder orders someone to fetch a sack of salt and spread it around where the scholar stands. The scholar is stunned and frightened, noticing everyone's identical reaction to Yonho's name. We receive an account of Yonho, the luminous martial emperor. He was a mythic figure who brought an end to an age of turmoil, a true nobleman, a great soul, and a celebrated heroic warrior. Renowned worldwide. Some hail him as the greatest ever, others as the ultimate chivalrous fighter. We see the scholar heading somewhere, using a qigong technique. The scholar wonders why everyone shuns discussing Yonho. As a historian, he feels compelled to record even the obscured facets of history, and today he might finally uncover the truth. We meet the beggar sect's divine mad dog. The mad dog roars with laughter upon learning the scholar was driven out from Shaolin in the Hubei Peng clan. The scholar confirms, noting that reactions were nearly identical everywhere he went. As soon as he mentioned Yonho's name, the mad dog interrupts, saying it's no surprise they'd react that way. Startled, the scholar listens as the main story begins, set 100 years ago in the Guangdong Wei clan. Yonho was utterly deplorable. We meet the 12-year-old Yonho, half asleep, mumbling about his ambition to become the mightiest. From the mad dog's perspective, there was once a boy who aspired to be the greatest in the world. Raised in a martial clan, he was taught the honor of warriors and understood that the fastest path to greatness was unyielding effort. For a boy with such determination, there was one small hitch. It was too late to start today. We see Yonho rise and gaze at the sunset. Lost in deep thought, he then slips back under his blanket, lamenting that today was meant to be the day he began his journey to supremacy. He resolves to rest well tonight and begin training tomorrow. We hear someone's footsteps and see someone appearing in Yonho's room, telling Yonho to get up. He again tells Yonho to get up, but this time while shouting, Yonho reluctantly gets up. We are introduced to the patriarch of Guangdong's Wei clan, the righteous, chivalrous swordsman Yonho's father, asking Yonho does he know what time it is. Yonho replies saying he saw the sun. Yonho's father says despite seeing the sun, he is still lying on his bed. Yonho cheekily says it's because the sun is still going down. Yonho's father asks, does he know how long he has been holed up in his room? Yonho says was it 2 days or maybe 3, and then he comes to the conclusion that it was 2 days. Calling Yonho a useless brat, his father says it's been 4 days. He has been rolling around wrapped in a blanket for 4 damn days. Yonho's father asks him, doesn't his back hurt from lying around for that long? Even a bear would flip over from sweat after 3 days. With a nervous laugh, Yonho says that's why he gets up every now and again. Hearing that, Yonho's father gets angry and grits his teeth. Yonho says actually he tried to train today, but every time he opened his eyes, the sun was already setting. And when the sun sets, one has to sleep. That way, one can get up early the next day for training. While screaming and calling Yonho a freaking brat, his father flips over his bed and says he is finally going to fix Yonho's rotten attitude today. From the mad dog's perspective, with a little pun, he says today in the great Guangdong's Wei household, the sun was already going down. The scene shifts to Guangdong's Wei clan office, where we see the patriarch clearly distressed. We are introduced to the administrator of Guangdong's Wei clan, Zhou Bang, Asking the patriarch is his stress about the second young master again. The patriarch says who else would he be worried about? The administrator tells the patriarch not to worry and that Yon-ho will mature soon enough. The patriarch says it's all his fault. We get an explanation about Wai Zhonghan, the patriarch of the great Guangdong's Wai clan. He left on a martial dual pilgrimage the year Yon-ho turned 2. We are introduced to the patriarch of Guangdong's Wai clan, Han Sang-a, the unborn child Wai Su-rien, the eldest child San-ho, and the second son Yon-ho. At that time, Wai Zhonghan thought the journey would only last 2 years at most. However, he got caught up in various incidents, and it wasn't until 8 years later that Wai Zhonghan was able to return. Though he earned the honorary title of righteous, chivalrous swordsman during that time, what he lost was far too great. When he returned home, his once gentle wife had become fiercer than a tiger, and his beloved son, whom he thought wouldn't be a problem at all, had grown into a lazy sloth. We see why Zhonghan sighed deeply. The administrator tells the patriarch not to worry and there must still be a way. The patriarch asks what way. The administrator says, has the patriarch forgotten that he will be returning soon? The patriarch asks who's he, but then the patriarch realizes who he is. The administrator says after 3 years, he will return from the academy. The patriarch gives out a sly smirk, thinking there is one person Yon-ho is actually scared of. We see someone arriving behind Yon-ho. Yon-ho thinks, why is he suddenly getting chills? When Yon-ho looks behind, he sees his older brother. We are introduced to the eldest son of Guangdong's Wai clan, San-ho. San-ho asks Yon-ho how long he has been asleep. Apparently nervous, Yon-ho asks, when did San-ho get home? San-ho says he asked Yon-ho first. While scratching the back of his head, Yon-ho gets nervous and doesn't say anything. San-ho gives out an intense gaze at Yon-ho. Yon-ho gets scared and says it's not what San-ho thinks and that Yon-ho trained early this morning and he trained really hard and he just took a nap because he got tired. And true. San-ho asks Yon-ho did he really train. Yon-ho replies positively. San-ho asks Yon-ho to use a technique to split that candle into 2. San-ho wants to see how much Yon-ho has improved over these 3 years. Holding a sword, Yon-ho reluctantly gets into position. San-ho asks Yon-ho what is he doing and asks him to go ahead. Yon-ho starts making excuses, saying they are indoors and it could be dangerous. San-ho shouts, saying he will take responsibility and asks Yon-ho to show San-ho what he has got. Yon-ho starts to prepare. We see Yon-ho going forward, swinging his sword. He tries to show off a great sword technique, the soaring dragon technique, but nothing happens to the candle. Seeing that, Yon-ho thinks he screwed up. With disappointment, San-ho says 3 years has passed. 3 is enough to master a sword technique and move on to the next level, but Yon-ho has gotten worse than he was 3 years ago. The scene shifts to the Wai family's dinner hall, where we see them having dinner. Yon-ho thinks he is going to get indigestion, and he is sure of it. The patriarch asks San-ho how was the martial academy life, and has he encountered any difficulties? San-ho says it was fine, and if there were no hardships, it wouldn't be training. He believes they are essential to overcome himself. The patriarch tells San-ho that he has suffered a lot in his absence. San-ho says his father was the one who had it harder being away for so long. The patriarch asks San-ho, is there any other issues? San-ho says there is one. The matriarch asks what it is. San-ho says it's about Yon-ho, and everyone gets surprised. San-ho thinks they need to bring Yon-ho to his martial academy. Hearing that, Yon-ho gets surprised, scared, terrified all at the same time. The scene shifts to the mad dog saying even Master Musan and Peng Doja grind their teeth at the mere mention of Yon-ho's name, and that was when the great history began. Back then, no one could have imagined that this lazy boy would one day shake the world. Just like that, Yon-ho was half forced to go to the martial academy. His family was a bit upset. We are introduced to Yon-ho's younger sister Suryan, crying and asking Yon-ho not to go. While laughing, his father tells him to come back as a man. Yon-ho tells his sister not to cry and that he will be back. From the mad dog's perspective, the journey of San-ho and Yon-ho was smooth. Well, for Yon-ho, that is. Yon-ho asks his brother, are they almost there? San-ho says there's 10 more days left. Hearing 10 days remaining, Yon-ho gets surprised. Sanho says they would have gotten there in 5 days if Yanho knew how to ride a horse. From back there, Yanho tells Sanho that he has never ridden a horse before. Sanho says he wasn't blaming Yanho and was just answering Yanho's question. Yanho asks Sanho to rest and asks does he know how steep this hill is. Yanho is very tired and he feels like his back and butt are going to burst. Seeing some people lying under a dead tree, Yanho tells Sanho to go there and shows those people are resting too. Seeing that, Sanho gets really surprised. Sanho gets down from his horse. Yanho asks him what is he going to do. Sanho appears in front of the lying bodies. While checking them, Yanho asks Sanho what is he doing. Sanho tells Yanho that they are too late and that the people lying there are all dead. Hearing that, Yanho gets really surprised. Sanho shows Yanho something, saying this is a technique called the flower indulging palm. It used to be called crimson flower palm, but because of a rapist named Seo Jukai who went around committing evil acts using this technique, it came to be called the flower indulging palm. Hearing of a rapist, Yanho asks Sanho is he saying that the rapist is around here. Sanho says the rapist goes for women who are climbing the mountains, and these bodies mean that Seo Jukai ambushed them while trying to get a woman. In other words, there is a woman in danger somewhere around here. Telling Yanho to stay here, Sanho leaves, saying he will be back. Yanho screams at Sanho, saying is he telling Yanho to stay here with these corpses. By that time, Sanho goes very far. Yanho gets frustrated. He looks around. He looks at the horses and the bodies and says he's screwed. The sky turns black as if it will rain anytime. Yanho screams, calling Sanho a liar, and asks what's taking him so long. Sanho should have just brought Yanho along. Yanho thinks did something happen to Sanho. There's no way he would be this late otherwise. Yanho thinks he needs to do something. He might become a tiger's dinner if he just loiters around here. Suddenly, thunderstorm strikes and Yanho gets scared. Rain starts to fall. We see Yanho, the horses, and the bodies in the rain, and Yanho thinking he is really screwed. Thinking how did he end up like this? Yanho struggles to put the bodies onto the horse's back. He gets frustrated thinking he can't just leave the bodies behind since they might become tiger food, and he can't bury them because it's raining, and he needs to find shelter. Suddenly, the horses don't listen to Yanho. Suddenly, thunder strikes, and one of the horses kicks Yanho, and he falls down the hill. Yanho wakes up in pain. He hurt his back while falling and curses the horses. He gets up and finds himself in a cave. He gets happy, thinking he found shelter from the rain. Then the horses also come back to the cave. Yanho ties down the horses and thinks he can't even hit them. Seeing his dirty clothes, Yanho thinks what a mess, and that is why he prefers to stay home. Yanho leaves a mark outside the cave so that his brother can find him. Not knowing what to do, Yanho lies down to sleep. After some time, Yanho wakes up and hopes that nothing happened to his brother. Then he thinks his brother is strong, and so he will be fine. Then Yanho falls asleep. He starts sleeping soundly. Some time passes. Suddenly, we see a blue light around Yanho. Slowly, the blue light wraps around Yanho and lifts him in the air. The light starts taking the sleeping Yanho somewhere. We see the light taking Yanho inside an invisible barrier. After some time, Yanho wakes up. He looks around and thinks, where is he? He sees the place looks like the cave he was in. Seeing the different structure, Yanho thinks, did he go deeper? Did he roll in deeper somehow while sleeping? Suddenly, a voice can be heard saying, fated human. Hearing the voice, Yanho gets scared and screams. Then he falls towards the wall, and when he looks up, he sees a blue light spear. The voice says, welcome to the fated place, successor of my radiant sword. Yanho asks, is the voice speaking through the sparkling thing? The voice says yes, and that he has transcended the restraints of a physical being, and he is speaking to Yanho from beyond time and space. The voice tells Yanho to accept his will and rule over the world. Hearing that, Yanho screams, saying it's a ghost. The voice tells Yanho to not be afraid and that the voice is already dead. Only his will has been left here. He has prepared this for someone who will get here after him to accept his will without doubt. Yanho thinks this situation seems familiar. A cave without human presence, an old man's will. With a disgusting smile, Yanho thinks is this a fateful chance. He thinks the heavens are rewarding him for his kindness. He wouldn't have to go to the martial training hall if he becomes strong right here. The old man's voice says there is no time, and to inherit his sword and write the morals of the world. He will teach Yan Ho his radiant sword and ask Yan Ho to train endlessly. The voice tells Yan Ho he should be talented enough if he has the old man's blood. And if Yan Ho trains hard here for 30 years, he should be able to replicate the old man somewhat. Hearing of 30 years, Yan Ho gets surprised and says he doesn't think this fate was for him and to look for the next person. The old man gets speechless for a moment and, in surprise, asks Yan Ho why. Yan Ho says he would rather let this go than stay here for 30 years. Back to Mad Dog's perspective. He says that fateful meeting is how the loser Yan Ho came to be so strong. Yan Ho tells the old man that he doesn't think this is fate and to find someone else. Then Yan Ho runs off. The old man asks Yan Ho to wait. When Yan Ho looks back, he sees the light turn into an old man. We are introduced to Baek Mu Han. Seeing the old man, Yan Ho says he was right. The old man is a scammer. The old man says, how dare Yan Ho call him a scammer? Yan Ho says that the old man pretended to be one thing, and when that didn't work, he revealed his true self. The old man says he wasn't pretending, he is actually a spirit who has left his body. Yan Ho doesn't believe the old man and punches him. His hand goes through the old man, and he falls down. The old man asks Yan Ho what is he doing. Seeing Yan Ho's hand pass through the old man, Yan Ho screams, saying the old man is a real ghost. The old man says this is the spirit transmission arts, something only martial artists at a very high level can use. But Yan Ho says they call them ghosts. The old man gets angry and screams at Yan Ho, saying he is not a ghost. Back to Mad Dog. Saying the story, he tells the scholar that's why Yan Ho met his master. The scholar asks Mad Dog, does something like the spirit transmission arts really exist? Mad Dog says it's a technique that only martial artists of the highest level can attain. The young scholar asks, then who's one martial artist who can use spirit transmission arts? Mad Dog asks the young scholar, does he know the Sword Emperor? The young scholar says that's a given. The Sword Emperor is the strongest person in history after all, the greatest person of the Thousand Swords Baek clan, and the master who will be remembered in martial arts history. Mad Dog says yes, he is talking about Baek Mu Han, the Radiant Sword, and the man who was later called Sword Emperor is the Radiant Martial Sovereign's master. The young scholar gets surprised and asks, didn't the Sword Emperor live 300 years ago? Mad Dog says that's right. The Sword Emperor is from an already forgotten generation. Regardless, it's true that the Sword Emperor made Yan Ho. Hearing that, the scholar says how incredible, and asks Mad Dog, the Radiant Martial Sovereign who knew that must have requested to become the Sword Emperor's disciple immediately, right? Mad Dog says it was the opposite. The Sword Emperor, who figured none his descendants looked for him for 300 years, needed a disciple at all costs. Why Yan Ho casually asked the old man, why is he throwing a tantrum? And Yan Ho really can't learn from him and that he is leaving. The old man tells Yan Ho, did he really think the old man would let him go so easily? The old man closes the cave's entrance. Seeing that, Yan Ho gets irritated. The old man starts laughing and asks Yan Ho what does he think. The cave door is a super thick stone gate, and with Yan Ho's current abilities, he will never lift or break it. But if he learns the old man's martial arts, he will be able to cut it like a piece of paper and leave. Saying there's no helping it, Yan Ho pulls out a sword. Seeing the sword, the old man says he told Yan Ho that he can't cut that stone gate with his abilities. Despite that, Yan Ho starts scratching the stone wall. Seeing that, the old man gets speechless. The old man asks Yan Ho what is he doing. Yan Ho says can't the old man see he is digging a hole? No matter how strong the stone is, it's still stone, which means it will slowly break down if Yan Ho grinds it with metal. Yan Ho will break through in about a year or two. The old man asks Yan Ho will he do that for a year or two. While laughing, Yan Ho says that's funny when it's coming from someone who spoke of training Yan Ho for 30 years. In anger, the old man thinks this bastard is a madman, and the old man can't even beat him to death. The old man hovers around Yan Ho and tells him to just try learning, and he won't disappoint Yan Ho. Yan Ho says he doesn't like the old man. Then the old man says he will allow Yan Ho to leave after 20 years. Hearing of 20 years, Yan Ho lies down and says 20 years is too long, and Yan Ho would consider if the old man said 3 years. In his mind, the old man gets angry and calls Yan Ho a bastard. But with a smiling face, the old man questions Yan Ho. He wants to learn the Sword Emperor's martial arts in 3 years. Even if Zhang Sanfeng came back to life, he wouldn't be able to do that. While getting up, Yan-ho says then he guesses they are not meant to be. We see the old man getting red in rage and cursing Yan-ho rapidly, which we don't hear apparently. Then the old man tells 5 years. He asks Yan-ho to give him 5 years, and he will do whatever it takes to make Yan-ho the strongest in the world in 5 years. Hearing that, Yan-ho thinks the strongest martial artist in the world in 5 years. Plus, Yan-ho has never even heard of a spirit that's as vivid as the old man. With a disgusting face, Yan-ho thinks maybe the technique just isn't told by word of mouth. Maybe the old man is telling half the truth. If so, the old man might really have been the strongest master in the world. Yan-ho decides to become a martial master using this opportunity. Then Yan-ho says fine, he will try it. Back to Mad Dog, where he is saying, of course, why Yan-ho didn't know the old man was the Sword Emperor at the time. But the Sword Emperor was quite unfortunate as well, since the person he met at the end of his life just happened to be a lazy sloth. The old man gets angry, calling Yan-ho a bastard, tells him to wake up. Yan-ho says he is so tired and asks the old man, does he not sleep? But then Yan-ho realizes that the old man is dead. But Yan-ho is a human, and humans need to sleep. Doesn't the old man know that? Baek Mu-han curses the skies, the heavens, the earth, everything, and then tells Yan-ho he is sorry and to train. But Yan-ho slept all day long and practiced the moves once during training. The always angry poor Sword Emperor says at this rate it will take them 50 years, not 5. Yan-ho asks, is there no easier way to learn? The old man says it's already easy enough. Yun-ho thinks if the old man didn't speak, at the very least the old man would be less annoying. Yun-ho tells the old man this is why he needs to meet a talented master. We see Baek Mu-han red in anger and at the verge of chi deviation, that is, if he had a body. The Sword Emperor thinks, wanting worldly success, wanting to pass down his martial arts, leaving his spirit like this, forcing him to endure this terrible state. If he had a body, he would beat Yan-ho and then teach him. We see Yan-ho lying down and rolling. Calling the old man master, Yan-ho asks him how did he do that? The old man asks what? Yan-ho says dropping that stone gate. And can't the old man use that power to manipulate Yan-ho's body to teach him martial arts? The old man says he just pulled the string on a device he had already made in advance. Yan-ho asks how, since the old man doesn't have a body. The old man says it's unrelated to the body. He simply used psychic levitation to pull the string with chi alone. Then the old man realizes something interesting. Then he gives out a devilish laugh and thinks, why didn't he realize it earlier? The old man keeps laughing. Yan-ho asks, what's wrong with the old man, and has he finally gone crazy? The old man says he was too fixated on thinking that he didn't have a body, or are there incomplete parts, since he has been maintaining this spirit for 300 years. Anyway, thanks to Yan-ho, the old man learned something good. Yan-ho asks the old man what is he mumbling about. But then something passes by Yan-ho. At first he doesn't realize what it is, but then he sees a rock on the stone wall. While laughing, the old man says thanks to Yan-ho, he realized that even if the old man doesn't have a body, he can still move rocks whenever he wants. Yan-ho gets terrified at that and backs off. The old man continues, and if he can move rocks, while levitating some rocks, the man says he can do something like this. Seeing this, Yan-ho tells the old man to stop, and he wants to talk. But the old man launches the rocks onto Yan-ho. After that day, Baek Mu-han and Yan-ho's training continued day and night. Yan-ho learned swordsmanship without rest during the day, and they debated during the night. Whenever Yan-ho slept, he tried using the unparalleled dream mythic arts Baek Mu-han taught him. Living became the sword. Life has become the sword. Yan-ho had no time to be lazy, and that was how 5 years passed by in a flash. And when Yan-ho returned, he shook the world. One day ago, before he got out, while Yan-ho is sleeping, the old man calls him. While getting up, Yan-ho says he wanted to sleep a bit more. We see Yan-ho has a surprised look on his face. We see the old man calm and sitting cross-legged. He tells Yan-ho to come here. While sitting, Yan-ho asks what's going on. The old man says he has learned martial arts his entire life. His hope was to see the end of it, so he didn't bother with anything but martial arts. At the end of solely chasing martial arts, the old man became a crabby old man who was treated distantly by his clan. Yun-ho thinks, what's up with the old man today? It's so unlike him. The old man continues, When he thinks about it, it was obvious why his clan didn't come looking for him. After all, the old man abandoned his children and family for martial arts. He thought seeing the end of martial arts would give him everything. But he was wrong. Martial arts is what humans do. So not walking with people to see the end of swordsmanship is meaningless, and Yan Ho helped the old man realize that. The old man says he taught someone for the first time. He was angry and annoyed. He also felt happiness and learned joy from seeing Yan Ho grow. And he also learned about fondness. Calling the old man master, Yan Ho asks what's going on with him. He is acting as if they will never see each other again. The old man confirms it, saying it's time. Hearing that, Yan Ho panics and asks what is the old man talking about, and does he think Yan Ho will fall for it? The old man said they should train for 30 years, and it's only been 5. The old man has to exist for 25 more years. The old man says he did say that, but the internal chai that he gave to Yan Ho in the form of an elixir was so Yan Ho could live without eating in here, and that's not something as easy to maintain as Yan Ho would think. The old man says he has no more power left, and it's time to say goodbye. The sad and panicked Yan Ho asked the old man why he didn't tell him. If he had, Yan Ho would have left, found food, and come back to train. The old man thinks if Yan Ho left this place, he doubts Yan Ho would come back. The old man says he understands how Yan Ho feels. While getting up, the old man says he enjoyed the time they shared. The old man wanted to watch Yan Ho travel and sightsee the world. But this is fine too. The old man looks at Yan Ho with fondness, and in his eyes he can clearly see Yan Ho crisscrossing through the world. The old man tells Yan Ho to go see the world and to keep it within him. If so, other things will naturally follow. He tells Yan Ho to also see people before he sees the world. The old man says while looking up, he didn't see what was at his feet. He warns Yan Ho not to make the same mistakes that he did. Even if the old man can't see Yan Ho again, even if no one else knows about the old man's existence, Yan Ho's movements, Yan Ho's swordsmanship, the old man is within them. While disappearing, the old man says, so even if Yan Ho's not outstanding or great, that's fine too. Calling the old man master, Yan Ho says he can't leave already. There is still so much he hasn't learned. Yan Ho asks his master to stay just a bit longer, even if it's just for one day. While disappearing, the Sword Emperor Baek Muhan's last words can be heard, telling Yan Ho to be happy. We see Yan Ho crying and saying the old man could have said something a bit earlier. Back to the present, where we see a clearly irritated Yan Ho saying, so this is why the old man left without telling him in advance. We see Yan Ho holding a cloth. Yan Ho says, when did the old man stack all this? And the old man should have left nicely. Yan Ho screams, saying, what the hell is this? Before disappearing, Baek Muhan wrote a message on Yan Ho's clothes. To summarize, Yan Ho's martial arts that he learned as quickly as possible within 5 years was still incomplete. Since Yan Ho wouldn't train once Baek Muhan disappeared, Baek Muhan put a sort of feature on Yan Ho's body. That being, Baek Muhan's inner elixir that Yan Ho had swallowed would cause his martial arts to improve. One might see it as automatically getting stronger, but it's not exactly that. If the martial arts Yan Ho is experiencing and obtaining is slower than the speed of the inner elixir, his inner energy would be sucked in by Baek Muhan, and Yan Ho would die. To summarize, Yan Ho will die if he is being lazy in training. Being irritated, Yan Ho says that damned old man was up to no good. The other writing in the cloth was to travel the world and see different things. When Yan Ho sees the world, he will feel things. And when he feels things, he will learn things. The old man tells Yan Ho to not be satisfied with becoming a small person, staying in a small place. Baek Muhan tells Yan Ho to see big things and become a big person. So the first place Yan Ho must go is Wóu Lán. He is to find the world's greatest scholar and stay with him. Yan Ho will definitely feel something. We see Yan Ho is saying he was going to go home, but he will go back after resolving everything. Yan Ho thinks he has to do what he must. Then he gives his final bows to his master. Then Yan Ho leaves for Wóu Lán. In front of the cave, we see Baek Muhan reappearing. He gives out a loud devilish laugh. Calling Yan Ho a bastard, he says if Yan Ho doesn't learn about the world, he will dry up like a mummy and die. What kind of martial arts exists in the world like that? Baek Muhan can't let Yan Ho live in some random place in the middle of nowhere. The world is too broad to let Yan Ho do that. With a happy and satisfying face, Baek Moo-han says it's a waste of Yeon-ho's martial arts. The scene shifts to Kai-fung. We are introduced to a new version of Yeon-ho as he has starved for days. Now he is like a skeleton. He arrives in front of a beggar. We are introduced to the beggar's ex-branch leader, Jang Ail. Looking at Yeon-ho, Jang Ail thinks, "Who is this mummy?" Yeon-ho says he came because he had something to ask. Jang Ail questions, saying, "Money?" Yeon-ho asks, "Does he need to pay?" The beggar says, "Of course. Nothing in this world is free." Looking at Yeon-ho, Jang Ail thinks his voice sounds like he's barely 20, but his face looks to be 50. Anyway, Jang Ail has never seen such a beggar among all the beggars he has seen. Jang Ail says he wants to do it for free since they are in the same field. But it's the rule here. Yeon-ho asks, "Same field?" Jang Ail says yes, since they are both beggars. Yeon-ho asks, "How does he look like a beggar?" Jang Ail says he is obviously a beggar. Anyway, if Yeon-ho has no money, Jang Ail can't give him info or anything. He asks Yeon-ho to leave and to come back with some money after doing some begging. Yeon-ho says why would he beg when he is not a beggar? With a stiff face, Jang Ail says, "It's not that beggars beg, it's that once one begs, one is a beggar." Yeon-ho looks like he could make money by just putting a basket in front of where he sits. So why is he wasting his talents? Jang Ail suddenly asks Yeon-ho, does he want to work with Jang Ail? We see a lot of money in front of Yeon-ho. Jang Ail gets happy and says to earn half a year of operating costs for this branch, and half a day, he says the god of wealth has come. Jang Ail asks Yeon-ho what he wants to know. Yeon-ho says a list of locations, hobbies, and specialties of famous scholars, and a list of locations, hobbies, and specialties of famous blacksmiths. Jang Ail tells Yeon-ho he did promise him, so Jang Ail will tell him, and he asks Yeon-ho to come back after 7 days. Yeon-ho lies down, saying he has nowhere to go and has nothing to do, so he will just stay here. Jang Ail says fine. After a few days, Jang Ail comes to regret those words. One of the beggars comes running to Jang Ail saying there's trouble. Jang Ail asks what's the fuss about? What trouble could there be for some beggars? The beggar says he thinks they are going to starve to death. The beggar brings Jang Ail to the location. Jang Ail gets surprised at what he sees. One of the passers-by, calling the beggars bastards, says if they want to be beggars, they would have to at least be on that level. And we see Mummy Wai Yeon-ho getting a lot of coins just by sitting on the road. Jang Ail gets terrified and surprised. Money keeps pouring onto Yeon-ho. Wai Yeon-ho gives out a laugh and says making money is easy. Wai Yeon-ho starts taking over the beggar world. We see Yeon-ho saying he is thirsty. While lying down, he tells Jang Ail to bring him water. When they bring Yeon-ho water, Yeon-ho says the bowl is dirty. Jang Ail beats the beggar that brought the water and tells him to bring water over in a new bowl. Yeon-ho says it's also lukewarm. While kicking the beggars, Jang Ail tells them to bring cold water from the damn mountains. While lying face down, Yeon-ho says, "Nice, how nice," and Jang Ail gets fired up in rage. Jang Ail thinks he is a branch leader of the beggar sect, having to act as a servant for that stupid beggar. But if Jang Ail kicks Yeon-ho out, his guys will strive. Jang Ail thinks, when's the damn information that Yeon-ho requested gonna get here? They are all gonna end up dead at this rate. One of the beggars comes running happily, saying the information is here. Hearing that, Jang Ail also gets happy. Yeon-ho sees the information. Yeon-ho asks Jang Ail, is that all? Does Jang Ail really want to sell something like this for money? Jang Ail asks Yeon-ho, what does he mean? Jang Ail takes the paper from Yeon-ho's hands. He sees the information and thinks, are those bastards actually trying to kill them all? This information is only like half of what Yeon-ho requested. Jang Ail thinks this is bad, and he needs to do something. Yeon-ho asks Jang Ail if the information is not complete because Yeon-ho didn't pay them enough. Jang Ail takes Yeon-ho somewhere else to get the information. We see a womanly figure standing. Calling Jang Ail fox dog, she says how rare it is to see Jang Ail here. We are introduced to the house sex Kai-fung's branch leader, Gue Nang Nang. Jang Ail greets the branch leader. While laughing, Yeon-ho says, is Jang Ail's title a dog? Is he a little despicable? Jang Ail says he needs information while Yeon-ho keeps calling him despicable. Branch leader Gue says this is surprising. The beggar sect's branch leader of Kai-fung is coming to the house sect for information. She is sure that Zhang Il is aware that they are rivals. She asks Zhang Il what brings him to the house sect. Zhang Il says he is not asking for the beggar sect, and he has brought a customer here. We see Yan Ho still laughing and calling Zhang Il a despicable. Branch leader Gui asks Zhang Il, is he kidding her right now? She says it's not the beggar sect asking, but the client is a beggar. She asks Zhang Il, is he insulting them, or is this a provocation of sorts? Branch leader Gui says they do not have information to sell to the beggar sect. Hearing that, Yan Ho says he is not from the beggar sect. While turning back, branch leader Gui says she will have no choice but to take action if they keep insulting them in this manner. Yan Ho should be aware that they have pride. Yan Ho asks, isn't the house sect an intelligence organization? But she doesn't even know if Yan Ho is from the beggar sect or not. She is living off selling information when she doesn't even know that. Yan Ho tells branch leader Gui that she doesn't even have the basics down. Hearing that, she gets angry and calls one of her guards, Gongmu. When Gongmu replies, she asks, who is Yan Ho? Gongmu says they don't know about Yan Ho, but he is not from the beggar sect. Hearing that, branch leader Gui gets irritated. Then Yan Ho says, see? Now she can sell Yan Ho information, right? Clearly being irritated, branch leader Gui says no, and she doesn't want to. She tells them to get out. Hearing that, Yan Ho laughs and says she doesn't have a business mindset. Yan Ho is offering to pay her, yet she still refuses. Yan Ho guesses it's not long until the house sect is done for. Branch leader Gui warns Yan Ho he had better watch his mouth unless he wants to see his limbs cut off. Yan Ho says he is not wrong, is he? Yan Ho calls the branch leader an old lady. We see the old lady's face. Sorry guys, forgive me. I can't explain what she is feeling. Branch leader Gui asks Yan Ho if he is insulting her. Then she tells Gongmu to teach Yan Ho a lesson. We see a masked man going towards Yan Ho to strike him. When Gongmu's hand is about to reach Yan Ho, he pushes Zhang Il to the side and punches Gongmu. We see Gongmu head down on the floor unconscious. The branch leader gets really surprised. The same goes for Zhang Il. Branch leader Gui says out loud that Yan Ho is a martial master. Yan Ho apologizes and says it's just his instinct to counterattack if someone tries to hit him. He would have gone much easier if Gongmu told him he was going to attack. Zhang Il thinks he thought that Yan Ho probably learned martial arts, but Zhang Il didn't expect Yan Ho to be this strong. Zhang Il comes to the conclusion that Yan Ho is basically a monster. While scratching the back of his head, Yan Ho says, this is all that old man's fault. Branch leader Gui stutters for a moment and says she didn't know Yan Ho was such a prestigious customer. She says, in any case, it doesn't seem like they are here with good intentions. Zhang Il says she probably won't believe him, but he really is not here to fight. There was just information that the beggar sect could not obtain, so he came here to ask for her help. Branch leader Gui asks, is that why Zhang Il brought Yan Ho here? Zhang replies positively. Branch leader Gui says that Zhang Il knows this is akin to bringing a tiger over to a rabbit's den and asking for just some fur, right? Zhang Il says he knows it's hard to believe, but he is serious. Branch leader Gui says all right, she believes him. Zhang Il thanks her. Branch leader Gui says, but giving Zhang Il information is a separate matter. It's true that Zhang Ilei's client hurt her person. She asked for compensation. She continues, saying there's a simple rule in the unorthodox world. Blood for blood, a life for a life. Branch leader Gui calls her guards, the Four Shadows. We see some scary-looking guys posing. Seeing them, Yan Ho says everyone has a fancy way of making an appearance in this place. Branch leader Gui says she doesn't know what Yan Ho's purpose in being here is, but since he has hurt one of them, Yan Ho will not be able to leave unharmed. Yan Ho says, is it that hard to understand? He told her it was a mistake. Yan Ho just hit him lightly because he tried to hit Yan Ho first. With an angry face, branch leader Gui curses Yan Ho. She says the unorthodox Murm's ways are simple, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Yan Ho mocks her, saying that sounds like some loan shark bullshit. Branch leader Gui says they are going to just take a bit of flesh from Yan Ho's face and be done with it. Yan Ho says sorry to break it to her. He doesn't really have any fat on his face. He hasn't been able to eat properly recently. Branch leader Gui gets relatively angry and orders the Four Shadows to kill Yan Ho. While the Four Shadows launch attacks on Yan Ho, while scratching the back of his head, Yan Ho says he thought they were going to just carve a bit of flesh from Yan Ho's face, and now they want to kill him. That's a whole lot of interest. He mockingly says it's scary. In a moment, Yeon-ho wrecks them. Again, I can't explain her facial expression. Sorry. While the four shadows are still in the air, Yeon-ho says, "Nobody move." While exuding chi, Yeon-ho says he doesn't want to kill yet. Seeing that, Jang-il gets speechless. Branch leader Gui thinks Yeon-ho's aura is that of a martial master. Yeon-ho says his master told him that if someone is willing to attack once, they will be willing to attack 3 or even 4 times. So Yeon-ho should never let that happen. Yeon-ho says he doesn't like the old man, but he has never said anything wrong. Being terrified, branch leader Gui thinks she messed with the wrong person, and he is not someone she can handle. She needs to get it together, and if she does anything wrong, this entire branch of the house sect might just meet its downfall. Branch leader Gui quickly composes herself and asks Yeon-ho what he wants. Yeon-ho says information, and the branch leader asks what kind of information. Jang-il says he has the papers, and he hopes that she can fill out the empty spots. Looking at the paper, the branch leader thinks Jang-il brought a monster like Yeon-ho to the house sect because they couldn't solve such a simple matter. Branch leader Gui says it's nothing difficult, and she just needs some time. She asks Yeon-ho, "Can he wait?" Yeon-ho replies positively. Branch leader Gui asks for 15 minutes. With an angry face, she calls Jang-il to come with her. After some time, Jang-il comes back, and Yeon-ho starts laughing at him, saying his face is like a dumpling. Yeon-ho asks Jang-il if branch leader Gui beat him up. Yeon-ho continues, saying he guesses the beggar sect is nothing, seeing as they are getting beaten up by the house sect. Jang-il asks, "Does that woman look like a mere regular member of the house sect?" Jang-il says she is the daughter of the house sect leader, and she is the future leader of the house sect. She ate miracle medicines like meals and had all kinds of good things, and how could Jang-il be a match for her? Then branch leader Gui appears behind Jang-il. She says she brought the information, and Yeon-ho thanks her. She continues, saying, however, they do have their own rules. Jang-il says, information fees. Yeon-ho asks how much. She says 5 nyang. Handing out 5 bronze nyang, Yeon-ho says that's cheap here. But Jang-il corrects Yeon-ho, saying silver nyang. Then Yeon-ho asks, why is it so expensive? Branch leader Gui says it was actually pretty high security information, and that's why it's pricey. Then Yeon-ho gets up and starts leaving. Jang asks, where is he going? Yeon-ho says he has to go earn his silver nyang. Hearing that, Jang-il lies on the ground and pulls Yeon-ho's leg, saying he brought Yeon-ho here for a reason. Yeon-ho asks, what's that supposed to mean? Clearly unwilling, Jang-il tells Yeon-ho to wait a second. Jang-il used up all the money Yeon-ho had earned, along with Jang-il's hidden stash, to cough up the 5 silver nyang that Yeon-ho didn't have. He borrowed with an IOU. Handing out the silver, Jang-il thinks his heart aches. Calling Yeon-ho an evil bastard, Jang-il says he had to use up all his savings. Looking at the information, Yeon-ho says this is definitely thorough. It's in a whole other league compared to the information that the beggars bring in. Yeon-ho guesses the house sect guys are on a different level. Holding a piece of paper, Yeon-ho says he also wants to send a letter to Guangdong and asks if it's going to be expensive. Branch leader Gui says it's going to be more expensive than an escort agency, but she will do it in exchange for Yeon-ho answering some of her questions. She asks Yeon-ho his name and his age. Yeon-ho replies, saying his name is Y. Yeon-ho and he is 17 years old. Jang-il gets surprised knowing Yeon-ho is younger than him. Hearing Yeon-ho is only 17 years old, branch leader Gui thinks his martial prowess is not that of a 17-year-old. Then she remembers his name, Y Yeon-ho. She realizes something and asks if Yeon-ho is the second son of Guangdong's Y clan. Yeon-ho asks if she knows him. Branch leader Gui says of course. The Guangdong's Y clan requested them to find Yeon-ho. Jang-il asks Yeon-ho if he is San-ho's younger brother. Yeon-ho asks Jang-il how he knows Yeon-ho's older brother. Jang-il says San-ho is his friend. Branch leader Gui asks Yeon-ho if he is sending the letter to the Guangdong's Y clan. It will take at least 10 days to arrive. Yeon-ho says it's all right, saying they waited 5 years, and 10 more days won't hurt. Branch leader Gui hands out a red cloth, saying it marks one as a special guest of the house sect. If Yeon-ho ties it where he wants, an informant of the house sect will come find him. She thinks someone who is skilled enough to take down the 4 swords at the age of 17, there's no one like that in the Central Plains. Creating a connection like this with him should do them good. Yeon-ho says it's useless to him. Branch leader Gui says in that case, She will give information for free next time. She says it's specially for Yeonho. They don't want to lose Yeonho as a customer because of what happened earlier. Yeonho laughingly says nothing really happened, right? Jung-il says his face is like a dumpling and he has been rendered completely broke. The branch leader says it often happens when you are a loser. The scene shifts to outside where Jung-il can be seen depressed about losing his money. Yeonho, with a straight face, says money comes and goes. Besides, a beggar shouldn't be greedy like that. He tells Jung-il to tap into his beggar roots. Jung-il gets frustrated, thinking he can't even beat this guy up. Jung-il says anyway, Yeonho got the information he wanted, so they won't have to see each other anymore. Pulling Jung-il, Yeonho says there's a problem. Jung-il asks what is it. With a happy face, Yeonho says he doesn't have any money. Jung-il wanted to beat him up, but he couldn't. The scene shifts to the house sex branch, where we see branch leader Gui in deep thought. She calls Gongmu and tells him to send a letter to the main sect and to tell them the second son of the Guangdong's Y clan who went missing has come back as a martial master. Yeonho arrives at the Great Hanlim Institute. We are introduced to Song Lim, the Great Hanlim Institute. We see a scholarly man sitting beside the lake drinking his tea. We are introduced to the third grand scholar, Mun Yu-hwan. His daughter comes, saying there is a guest for him. We are introduced to Mun Yu-hwan's daughter, Mun Yu-nij. Mun Yu-hwan says he doesn't have anything on the schedule today. His daughter says they said they wanted to play a game of Go with him. Hearing of Go, Yu-hwan gets all cheered up. Yu-nij brings Yeonho. Yeonho says he hopes he is not intruding. Yu-hwan says of course not, and it is an indulgence to have guests over. He heard Yeonho wanted to play Go with him. Yeonho says that's the only kind of thing he knows how to play. Mun Yu-hwan says let's give it a go then. He says he will play white and tells Yeonho to go first. Saying Yeonho will begin, he clumsily pulls out the pieces. Seeing that, Mun Yu-hwan thinks he shouldn't expect much from Yeonho. He looks like he is here to get a free meal, so Yu-hwan will just help him out after a game. Then Yeonho makes his first move. Seeing that, Yu-hwan gets surprised and thinks, looks like Yeonho is not a beggar, and they start playing. Mun Yu-hwan thinks Yeonho is fast with his moves, and it's rare to see someone his age so experienced. They play a couple more rounds. We see Mun Yu-hwan's face start to get gloomy. He couldn't make his move. He thinks, what the hell? Yeonho is not just being fast. With a sly smile, Yeonho asks Yu-hwan, isn't he gonna go? Mun Yu-hwan thinks why Yeonho is amazing. His playstyle is like that of angry ocean waves. He is like a person crazed for battles, attacking boldly even when a fight is not necessary. If he sees even a slight opening, he charges like a starving demon and chomps down. He is a war demon. Mun Yu-hwan tells Yeonho that was a good game, and he has quite a unique playstyle. Yeonho thanks him and says it's all because of all the bullying he endured from his master. Yu-hwan questions Yeonho. Did he really have a master? Yeonho thinks back to the past of his master's tormenting and replies, saying yes, a very strict old man. Yeonho tells Mun Yu-hwan if it's not too much to ask, he would love to stay over a bit. His master told him to stay in Rulin for a while. Hearing Yeonho is following his master's teaching, Mun Yu-hwan says of course he will help. He will prepare a room for Yeonho, and he can stay as long as he likes. Yu-hwan tells his daughter Mun Yu-nij to prepare a room and clothes for Yeonho, and to guide him to the bath too. Mun Yu-nij reluctantly says she understands, but Yeonho says he doesn't have any money. Hearing that, Mun Yu-hwan laughs and says he wouldn't expect payment from a guest like him. He was actually going to ask Yeonho to stay here if he had not asked. In return, Yu-hwan requests Yeonho to play Go against him, or a guest sometimes. Yeonho says he can do that. After Yeonho and Yu-hwan greet each other, Yeonho leaves with Mun Yu-nij. While bathing, Yeonho thinks this is very nice. He hated baths when he was younger. Yeonho was almost going to cry from how nice this is. Remembering his master, Yeonho thinks this is all that damned old man's fault. We see Mun Yu-nij waiting outside the bath with clothes for Yeonho. While pouting, she thinks she doesn't get it at all. Why did her father accept someone like Yeonho as a guest? Then Yeonho comes out of the bath naked, which startled Yu-nij. Yu-nij then screams. Telling Yeonho to cover up, Yu-nij says she thought Yeonho was a ghost. Seeing Yeonho, Yu-nij blushed. Then Yeonho covers himself up with a cloth. With a cheeky tone, Yeonho asks, is that good enough? Seeing Yeonho all cleaned up, in a dramatic way, Yu-nij asks, who is he? The scene shifts to a few days later. Mun Yunij tells her father to say something to that person. Her father asks who. Yunij says the new guy. She says Yon Ho doesn't leave his room at all. He sleeps all day if he is not eating. That's what he has been doing all week. Mun Yu Huan stays silent for a moment, then says he forgot to ask Yun Ho his name. While irritated, Mun Yunij says he said that being slothful is a sin. He said one should always keep himself busy. So why isn't he saying anything about Yun Ho being lazy? Yun Ho might be a guest, but he is ruining the atmosphere. Ignoring Yunij, Mun Yu Huan says he likes Go. One can learn a lot about one's opponent when playing. One can hide one's facial expressions and watch one's words, but one cannot hide oneself when playing Go. A person who is impatient cannot play patiently, and those who are the opposite cannot learn to enjoy battle. One can tell how someone has lived their life, along with their personality, when one plays Go against them. Yan Ho's playing style was rushed and rough. Yu Huan has never seen a play style like that. Mun Yu Huan says Yan Ho is definitely not a lazy person. Yu Huan assumes Yan Ho has lived a very rough life. If the sun shines down brightly, the shadows it casts will be just as dark. If Yan Ho is being lazy, Yu Huan is sure that just means his life until now has been very hard. One should not chase away a bird that has come under the roof to avoid the rain. One should not question the bird about why it is not flying through the rain. Mun Yu Huan tells Yunij to let Yon Ho rest. Unable to say anything, Yunij says she understands. Looking at Yon Ho sleeping lazily, the room is very disorderly. Yunij boils in anger. She thinks her father's been deceived. There's no way this lazy ass is like her father described. Yunij decides she is going to kick Yon Ho out of this place. In anger, Yunij tells Yon Ho to get up. While half asleep, Yon Ho asks why should he get up. Pulling the blanket, Yunij screams and tells Yon Ho to get up. The sun is already up. Yon Ho then says to let him know when the sun sets. Unable to keep her anger inside, Yunij asks what the hell is wrong with Yon Ho. Everyone studies here, and why is he doing nothing other than sleeping for a whole week? With a smug look, Yon Ho says those people are studying because they want to study. Yon Ho is sleeping because he wants to sleep, so what's the problem? Yunij tells Yon Ho to shut up. She can't just stand watching him roll around here without even taking a bath. And who does Yon Ho think washes his bed sheets? Yon Ho at least needs to do something to pay for the food he eats. Yunij guesses he wouldn't know, but they are not that well off. They can feed people who study, but they don't have enough to feed someone who just lazes around. Yon Ho says, but her father said he can stay as long as he likes. Mun Yunij says she is the one who is in charge of money, so her father doesn't know. Yunij gives Yon Ho an intense look. Giving out a sigh, Yon Ho asks, then what should he do? Yunij tells Yon Ho to do the laundry. Looking at the pile of laundry, Yon Ho asks, does he have to do all this? And will this cover his food? Saying it's not that much, Yunij replies positively. While sneakily laughing, Yunij tells Yon Ho good luck and to make sure all the clothes are clean. She is going to make him rewash what's not clean, so he needs to do a thorough job. Yunij thinks Yon Ho deserves this. He won't be able to finish all that by today. The scene shifts to 2 hours later. We see a very surprised Mun Yunij. She sees all of the laundry is super clean and shining. She wonders how did Yon Ho do this? Looking at the clothes, she thinks were they always this white? She again wonders how the hell did he do this? We see Yon Ho is sleeping on the side. Frustrated, Yunij thinks she can't let Yon Ho laze around again. She decides she will get him. Then she brings Yon Ho to the log area. She tells him to chop all this. She gives Yon Ho a week to do this and asks, he will be able to do it, right? With an evil laugh, Yunij thinks Yon Ho will run away after a day. After some time, Yunij comes back and sees all the logs are done, and Yon Ho is sleeping on top of the logs. She again gets a surprise and thinks that should have taken 10 people 10 days to do. Then she gives Yon Ho dishwashing job, but the same thing happens this time too, and we see Yon Ho sleeping again. We see a dumbstruck Yunij. Then comes gardening, which also shines, and we see the same scene of Yon Ho sleeping. A very frustrated and angry Mun Yunij thinks, how is Yon Ho so capable? Back to Mad Dog's perspective. He says thus why Yon Ho's ruling life began, but it was a mistake to take him in. Mun Yu Huan never should have let Yon Ho into his home. The young scholar asks why. The Mad Dog says it's because that guy brings disaster wherever he goes. It may not be intended, But wherever he goes, trouble follows. It was the same in Rulin. A scholar hall that had been so quiet and peaceful was swept over with chaos once Wóu Lán Shòu showed up. The scholar asks what happened. The mad dog says it all began when the game called Go started. We see a very irritated Yan Ho thinking, how did he get into this situation? He thought it was going to be an occasional visit. We see a big crowd waiting outside to play Go against Wóu Lán Shòu. Yan Ho thinks bringing people here to play with him is cheating. Munyu Huan writes a letter saying, a stone that stays stagnant rots. A laid table waits for its owner. If the time is right, please visit for a game of Go. A master of Go appeared in the Great Hanlim Institute. He then sends the letter to various scholars across Murim. We see an irritated Yan Ho rapidly playing Go. We see a lot of scholars standing in line to play Go with Wóu Lán Shòu. Yan Ho defeats one of the scholars, being indifferent, then tells the next one to come. Yan Ho is playing Go with a scholar. We see the scholar is in distress and thinking very hard. Seeing Yan Ho's move, the scholar thinks, what kind of move is that? It's basically suicide. He wonders, is it perhaps a mistake? But then he thinks there's no way it can be a mistake. It could be a mistake maybe if Yan Ho was a regular man. But the scholar's opponent is the undefeated genius of Hanlim. While nervous, he thinks Yan Ho must have some plan in mind. It's got to be a trap. He must avoid it. He is sure Yan Ho was plotting something. It's good that he avoided it. We see Yan Ho is shaking. Yan Ho looks at the scholar. We see a very irritated and angry Yan Ho, but in his mind he thinks, why? Why did the scholar back off there? Just why? Yan Ho did that so he can lose. He will be playing Go forever if he doesn't lose. In his mind, Yan Ho tells the scholar to fall for the move. Yan Ho will lose in 10 moves, so take that bait. But the scholar respectfully acknowledges his loss. While crying, Yan Ho also greets back the scholar. Nearly exhausted, Yan Ho starts walking towards his room. He kept making suicidal moves so that he could lose, but that must have been scaring his opponents instead. While scratching his head, Yan Ho thinks at this rate, he is going to have more people coming to play. He would rather do the laundry. Yan Ho aches in back pain. Then Yan Ho suddenly hears someone's voice. He peeks to see who it is. We are introduced to a very disgusting-looking Nak Mokpung. He is asking Yunij if she really doesn't want to marry him. Yunij says no, absolutely not. Nak Mokpung says she is going to regret it. In anger, Yunij says she won't. Nak Mokpung tells Yunij she better think it through again. He has always gotten what he wanted. He will never let go of something he wants. He is just offering right now, but if she keeps refusing him, it won't be an offer next time. Is she sure it's all right for the Great Hanlim Institute to fall just because of her? Hearing this, Mun Yunij gets very angry and tells Nak Mokpung to do as he wishes. The Great Hanlim Institute won't fall this easily. Nak Mokpung says, but he can make this happen, and he is sure Yunij is aware of it too. Yunij grits her teeth in anger. Yunij screams at Mokpung, saying she hates that about him. Does he think everything will just work out in his favor? Now Mokpung says it's not impossible. Yunij says she is never going to marry him. It's impossible. Then Yunij starts leaving, but Nak Mokpung grabs Yunij's hand very tightly with his disgusting hand. Yunij screams and says to let her go. Mokpung says it's in her best interest to not anger him. With a disgusting gesture, Nak Mokpung tells Yunij, does she think she can still act so bold, even if he tries to take her right here, right now? Hearing this, Yunij gets very scared. From behind, Yan Ho tells Mokpung that's not something he should be saying in someone else's house. Hearing Yan Ho's voice, Yunij gets surprised. Yunij then removes herself from Nak Mokpung's grasp and runs towards Yan Ho, asking, has he already finished doing the laundry and firewood? Yan Ho says he has been playing Go until now, and what is she talking about? Yan Ho then sees the scratch marks on Yunij's hand. Then Yan Ho takes one of Yunij's hairbands, telling her he will borrow this. He then ties his hair. Nak Mokpung tells Yan Ho, doesn't he think it's rude to listen in on others' conversations? Saying sorry, Yan Ho says he really doesn't know his manners. He goes in front of Nak Mokpung and says that being said, Yan Ho doesn't think Mokpung should be the one to talk about manners. Do people who care about manners usually act like he does? With a disgusting face, Mokpung tells Yan Ho he must be the genius of Hanlim. Mockingly, Yan Ho thanks him for recognizing him, but Yan Ho has no idea who he is. When Nak Mokpung tries to introduce himself, Yan Ho ignores him and says, it's all right, he doesn't really care. Mokpung gets very angry and says the genius of Han Lim should just play Go instead of getting in his way. Yonho says what a shame. He is really good at getting in people's way, just like right now. Gritting his teeth in anger, Nak Mokpung curses Yonho. But before he could say anything else, some scholars appear and ask who is that. One of the scholars requests Yonho to play with him tomorrow. Seeing the changed situation, Nak Mokpung leaves. Before he leaves, he reminds Yonji not to forget, if she doesn't come running into his arms in 3 days, he is going to do things his way. Yonho asks Yunij who was that. Yunij says he is a man called Nak Mokpung. He is the adopted son of the imperial palace attendant who wields a lot of power. Yonho asks what was Mokpung telling her. Yunij says Mokpung wants to marry her. Yunij refused him every single time, but it's very annoying. Yonho says, but isn't he all right? He is from a good family and he is determined. Hearing this, Yunij gets very angry and says Mokpung is not trying to marry her because he likes her. He just wants to use her. Yonho might not know, but her father has really a good network in Rulin. People say that he is a perfect candidate to be a politician too. The reason he lives this life despite all that isn't just because he has no interest in civil service. Then Yonho cuts her off and with a silly gesture says, it must be because of Go, right? Yunij says no. It's because the eunuchs of the imperial palace are very wary of her father. Yonho says, why would the eunuchs do that? Isn't her father just an owner of this institute? Yunij says it's not just some institute. The Great Hanlim Institute is different from the others. They are not affiliated with any other organization, so getting to this point was difficult. But thanks to that, they have been able to form many deep connections with other organizations. The reason the eunuchs are in power despite being corrupt and useless is because the forces of Rulin have not unified to drive them out. However, if her father were able to control the forces of Rulin, the eunuchs would be in danger. That's why Nak Mokpung's father is desperate to stop her father from taking on civil service. Recently, Mokpung's father has found a new way, a way to not have to fear Rulin uniting, while also gaining a close connection to a powerful figure in Rulin. It's the marriage between Nak Mokpung and her. We see Nak Mokpung kneeling and telling his father he is sorry. An individual called the Genius of Hanlim appeared, so it might be hard to continue the plan. We are introduced to the head of the eunuchs, Nakji. Nakji asks, the Genius of Hanlim, isn't he a useless good-for-nothing who just plays Go all day? Mokpung says the Genius of Hanlim is not the problem. Rather, there are people from all over the nation coming to play Go against him. There were too many eyes watching. His actions were limited because of that. It might be bad if he were to try to do something amidst all that. We see Nak Mokpung sweating in fear while reporting to his adoptive father. Nak Gi says he understands why Mokpung is hesitant. Mokpung apologizes to his father. Nak Gi says, however, does Mokpung think that this mission is just for his sake? Mokpung doesn't know what to say. Nak Gi says taking over the imperial palace is a mission given by the one and only. Failing this mission is not an option for Mokpung and him both. Nak Gi is more afraid to disappoint him than he is of death. Nak Gi asks Mokpung, does he understand? While scared and sweating, Nak Mokpung replies saying yes, he is well aware. Nak Gi says sometimes violence is necessary. With a creepy smile, Nak Gi tells Mokpung to use the crowd to his advantage and kill them all, including the Genius of Hanlim. We are introduced to Royal Head Inspector Li Huangya, the Emperor's brother. He asks Yu Huan is he still not interested in a government position. Yu Huan apologizes to Li Huangya and refuses. Li Huangya asks Yu Huan why can't he see that he needs to be at the center, maintaining balance to stop Nak Gi. Hearing this, Yu Huan stays silent and doesn't say anything. Li Huangya sighs in frustration and says their movements have been suspicious lately. There is instability in the military as well as the scholar officials. Nak Gi is getting into their heads. Yu Huan tries to say something, but Li Huangya stops him and says he knows that Yu Huan wants to ask why a man who cannot even have children would want to start a revolution. Yu Huan answers positively. With a stern voice, Li Huangya says if he were to tell Yu Huan that there is another master whom Nak Gi is serving, the terror of the political fight between the eunuchs is beyond their imagination. Yet Nak Gi managed to get past them all despite having absolutely no foundation. Isn't that strange? Those who crossed Nak Gi lost their lives in accidents, and those who did not suddenly died of diseases. It was as if someone was paving the path for him. Hearing this, Yu Huan says it might just be coincidence. Li Huangya says he thought so too until recently. After watching him, he got the thought that perhaps there is someone helping knock Ji from behind the scenes, and that is why Li Huangya needs Yu Huan. They need to unite as one against Nok Ji. Yu Huan tells Li Huangya that he will think about it a little more. Changing the topic, Li Huangya asks Yu Huan, what kind of person is the new genius that he has taken in? Hearing this question, Yu Huan gets very happy and says Yonho is amazing, and he feels like Yonho is hiding his true potential. Li Huangya says he is curious about why Yonho and asks when can he meet him. Yu Huan says Yunji has gone to pick Yonho up. At that moment, from the outside, Yunji says they are here. Yu Huan tells them to come in. We see a very wet Yonho and a flustered Yunji. Seeing Yonho's condition, both Li Huangya and Yu Huan get speechless. Yu Huan apologizes to Yonho for calling him too early and asks Yonho did he slip well. Sarcastically, Yonho replies he slept very well, if only somebody didn't pour cold water on his face while he was slipping. Ignoring Yonho, Yu Huan says he is glad Yonho slept well. Pointing at Li Huangya, Yu Huan tried to introduce him, but while winking, Li Huangya says he is just an old passerby. While greeting Li Huangya, Yonho says it sounds like there is a grand reason behind his visit and asks what is it. Yu Huan says what other business could he have? He wants to play Go. With a straight face, Yonho says he can't. Li Huangya asks Yonho why can't he play? He has been playing Go with all the people who come by though. Why Yonho says he is not saying that he won't play Go, but there are proper orders to things. There are people who got here before him waiting, so Li Huangya should wait his turn. Hearing this, Li Huangya laughs and says he can resolve that. He will ask the others to be understanding. Hearing this, Yonho gets irritated and says that's not really resolving things, is it? That's just coercion. Hearing this, they both got dumbstruck and speechless. Yonho tells Huangya that he seems like he has got a pretty high social status. Yonho is sure everyone would be forced into going along with what Li Huangya says without a choice, rather than because they agree with him or are understanding. Why Yonho says he values promises and rules. Li Huangya thinks Yonho is more firm in his own beliefs than he expected. This is difficult. Huangya asks Yonho can't he do something about that, but Yonho refuses, saying he needs to wait his turn. Yunji tells her father she thinks she can resolve this. Yunji clenches her fist in anger and thinks, rules, promises, as if he values those things. While putting her hand on Yonho's shoulder, she says if Yonho just plays this game, she will cancel all the other games of Go he is supposed to play today. We see a very different Yonho. Yonho says it's tempting, but he too has morals and ethics. But if Yunji also cancels tomorrow's matches? But before Yonho could finish, Yunji says no and tells him not to try bargaining for any more if he wants to rest today. There is no room for negotiation. He should make his choice. With a swift motion, Yonho sits in front of the Go board and says, let's begin. Seeing Yonho's behavior, both Li Huangya and Yu Huan get surprised. Li Huangya thinks this is the worst. Yonho is not a man of his word. He would like to just leave, but he decides to see this through. While making his move, Li Huangya wants to see what Yonho is like. The game finishes fairly quickly. In the nighttime, we see Li Huangya is sitting in front of the Go board and in deep thought. Yu Huan asks him did he not enjoy the game of Go with Yonho. Li Huangya keeps looking at the Go board and thinks, such a violent and quick style of play. One wouldn't see such plays even if one were to play a game of Go in the middle of a battlefield. He wonders just what kind of life Yonho has lived. However, Yonho is not the right one. The laziness, the violence, they aren't what he wants. Li Huangya tells Yu Huan it was a waste of time. He doesn't understand why Yu Huan values him so highly. Yu Huan says it's because he saw. Li Huangya asks what did he see? Yu Huan says during one of his games against Yonho, he made a prophylactic move, and Yu Huan thought it was a very good move. He thought the game was over, so he took his eyes off the game. But what he saw was the face of a man who had fallen deeply into a rare trance. While leaving, Li Huangya asks Yu Huan, is he sure he saw correctly? With a firm stance, Yu Huan replies, saying he is sure. While pouting, Li Huangya says he doesn't intend on taking Yonho in either way. He wasted his time, but he got to see Yu Huan, so it wasn't a total waste of time. Li Huangya says he needs to get going early tomorrow. Yu Huan asks, is he that busy? Li Huangya tells Yu Huan that he told him the atmosphere has been tense lately. Looking at the moon, Li Huangya says what a shame. The night is so perfect. We see someone appearing outside the Hanlim Institution gate. We see a masked man reporting to Nok Mokpung that the preparations are complete. In a dramatic sight, we see a lot of masked men with swords in hand behind Nok Mokpung, ready to strike anytime. With a creepy smile, Nok Mokpung orders them to get it done quickly. The masked men leap towards the great Hanlim Institute. We see someone is brooming the premises. Hearing the sound, he looks behind and gets killed. His blood spatters on the Hanlim gate. Nok Mokpung opens the gate, and when he enters the Hanlim Institute, we see the masked men massacring the Hanlim scholars. Mokpung says this is why Yunji should have listened to him while he was still being nice. Mokpung orders the masked men to get them all. With a disgusting smile, Nok Mokpung says tonight the great Hanlim Institute will become a prison that not even a rat can escape. We see why Yonho slipping peacefully despite all that happening outside. Thinking of Yunji, Mokpung thinks today he will teach that bitch a lesson. The masked men round up all the scholars and tie them up. Yuhuan asks what's the meaning of this. Nok Mokpung says they received information that there has been suspicious activity in the Great Hanlim Institute. They have heard that all kinds of high authority people have been visiting recently. In anger, Yuhuan asks, how is that suspicious at all? With a smug face, Mokpung says, what reason could there be for people with both political and martial power to get together? There is only one possibility, a revolution. In anger, Yuhuan asks what the hell is Mokpung saying? They are only here to play Go. Mokpung asks Yuhuan does he want Mokpung to believe that this many people gathered just to play Go. In panic, Yuhuan says he is serious. He is sure that Mokpung has heard rumors about the genius. Mokpung says he did hear the rumors, but rumors can be easily made up. Mokpung asks, and where is the so-called genius? One of the masked men asks Mokpung who is he looking for. Mokpung says the genius that Yuhuan is talking about. The masked man says there are no more people remaining in the building. Nok Mokpung asks, did Yunho run off? He must have left earlier. It would be impossible to run away after they got here. Mokpung calls Yunho a lucky bastard. Mokpung tells the scholars they will all be freed if they are innocent. They will free them and apologize if they find that there is no problem. While bringing a book, a masked man says he found it. He says it's an agreement of the people who were planning the revolution. Hearing that, Yuhuan gets surprised and says that they have never done such a thing. Showing the ledger, Mokpung says there is proof right in front of them. Yuhuan thinks Mokpung came here to frame them from the beginning. They have been had. Some of the scholars say it wasn't them. They are innocent. One of them says he didn't know. He didn't come here to partake in such activities. Li Huangya stands up and says, what an interesting incident. Seeing Li Huangya, Mokpung gets flustered and surprised. While screaming, Li Huangya tells Mokpung to call him the royal head inspector. Mokpung and the masked men stay silent. Seeing Li Huangya, the scholars get relieved and say since he saw everything, he will say that they are innocent. Mokpung greets Li Huangya and says he wouldn't have done this if he knew he was here. Li Huangya says he is not to hold grudges and tells Mokpung to free them. Regaining his composure, Mokpung says before that he would like to ask Li Huangya a question. Huangya asks, what is it? Mokpung asks, why did he plan this revolution? And with a disgusting smile, he tells Li Huangya, did he really think that Mokpung wouldn't know he was here? Li Huangya says, what is he talking about? The masked men push Huangya to the ground. Mokpung says there is always a central figure to a revolution. He didn't assume it was some scholar. It would make the most sense that it's Li Huangya, a family member of the emperor. In anger, Li Huangya screams at Mokpung, saying his arrogance knows no bounds. How dare he frame him? Does he think he can avoid the consequences of his actions? Li Huangya will not let Mokpung get away with this. Mokpung says Li Huangya seems to be misunderstanding something. Li Huangya won't be able to report to His Majesty about this because he is not going to see the emperor ever again. Mokpung says the punishment for revolution is an immediate execution. They will all die here. Mokpung says they have gotten the signatures of the revolutionaries. What will His Majesty think? It's very obvious that they were all planning a revolution. Saying all that, Mokpung laughs out loud. Calling Mokpung a bastard, Li Huangya says the heavens won't forgive him for this. Mokpung tells him to keep bragging and says there's someone who has to die first, and it's Yunji. Mokpung tells Yunji he warned her that he would do things his way. Thanks to Yunji rejecting him, everyone's going to end up dead. Mokpung asks Yunji is she willing to change her mind now. Yunji spits on Mokpung's face and says she would rather die here than marry someone like him. Hearing this, Mokpung makes a disgusting face. While touching Yunji's cheek, Mokpung tells her not to worry. He won't kill her. He will make it so that she thinks death would be the better outcome. He tells her to imagine the worst scenario possible. He will inflict pain upon her that is 100 times worse than what she can ever imagine. While trying to bite her tongue, Yunji tells Mokpung, does he think she would just let that happen? She would rather die than be humiliated by him. Mokpung tells Yunji if she kills herself, her father will be the one to suffer the torment. If her father also kills himself, then the rest of the people here will suffer the torment. Mokpung tells Yunji not to think this will end here. All family members related to those who plan a revolution are killed. If she wants to kill herself, then she should go ahead. While laughing, Mokpung says the others will just have to pay for the sins instead. Yunji grits her teeth in anger. While pulling Yunji's hair, Mokpung tells her to kill herself. He wouldn't mind having more people to entertain him anyway. While touching Yunji's cheek, Mokpung says, then should they begin? Yunji, unable to do anything, in her mind pleads for somebody to help her. When she opens her eyes, her face turns gloomy. She sees Yeonho leaving. Yeonho starts climbing the wall, and when he is about to leave, Yunji calls him loudly and everyone sees Yeonho trying to leave. While Yeonho gets in an awkward situation, then starts laughing like an idiot. Yunji asks, what the hell is he doing? Yeonho says, can't she tell he is booking it? Yunji asks, is he kidding her? While Yeonho says what's wrong with saying he is booking it when he really is. He guesses Yunji doesn't like the way he said it. Should he say he is excusing himself then? Yunji tells Yeonho he should be helping them. Yeonho learned martial arts, he can help. Yeonho says how can he help them? It's hard enough to keep himself alive, and she is overestimating his skill level. The best choice in this kind of situation is to act like he didn't see anything. While waving his hand, Yeonho tells the intruders that he didn't see anything. They should keep doing what they were doing. Hearing this, all of them think what a piece of shit Yeonho is. Mokpung screams at Yeonho telling him to stop. He is already involved in the revolution. The entire world will be after Yeonho. He will not be safe anywhere. Yeonho tells Mokpung he can't be sure of that. Calling Yeonho a fool, Mokpung says the world may be big, but there are eyes everywhere. It would not be difficult to find him. While trying to leave, Yeonho tells Mokpung to look for him later. Mokpung tells the masked men to get Yeonho. The masked men charge towards Yeonho. Seeing this, Yunij tells Yeonho to run. Hearing this, Yeonho gets surprised and tells Yunij she was telling him to help just earlier, and now she wants him to run. What is he supposed to do? One of the masked men misses Yeonho and thinks, was it an afterimage? Yeonho elbows the masked man into the ground and in a dramatic way says, what a hassle. He tells Yunij she is such a strange woman, and we see the masked men in a very awkward position. Seeing this, Yunij doesn't know what to do. All the scholars get dumbstruck and Mokpung can't understand the situation. He tells Yeonho so he had skills after all. Yeonho thanks Mokpung for the compliment. While irritated, Mokpung says that wasn't meant as praise. Mokpung calls one of the masked men and says how long must he keep enduring this ridiculous humiliation. The masked man apologizes and says he will take care of it immediately. Mokpung tells the masked man not to kill Yeonho. The masked man asks why. Mokpung says he will rip Yeonho apart with his own hands. The masked man charges towards Yeonho, but Yeonho tells him to wait a second. The masked man asks, what is it? Yeonho says he needs to use his sword, so can he stay here for a moment? Yeonho thinks his sword is in his room. The masked man calls Yeonho a crazy bastard. Yeonho tells the masked man he looked old enough already, and yet when a younger guy says he is just going to grab a sword, he has a problem with it. The masked man tells Yeonho to shut up. While looking at the broom, Yeonho says 5 years ago it wasn't like this. How did the world become so harsh in the meantime? Yeonho picks up the broom and the masked man asks him, what is he doing? Yeonho says since he won't let him get his sword, he will just use the broom instead. In anger, the masked man asks Yeonho is he mocking him? With a smug face, Yeonho says why is he angry at him? Then he should let Yeonho fetch his sword. While charging towards Yeonho, the masked man says he won't kill him, but he will make sure he feels pain so intense he will wish for death instead, even if Yeonho later cries and begs. Being indifferent, Yeonho says, can they just start now? He just woke up and he is still slippy. The masked man boils in anger seeing Yeonho. While screaming, he charges towards Yeonho, but Yeonho strikes him in the head with the broom and sends him flying backwards. The masked man thinks, what is this? Then the masked man lies on the floor unconscious. Mokpung, Yuhuan, and Li Shuangya all get surprised seeing that and don't know what to do. Yun-ho then says, as expected, trash is best cleaned with a broom. The masked man then regains consciousness and doesn't understand the situation. Pointing the broom at the masked man, Yan-ho tells him to be glad it ended at just that, because it was Yan-ho. He shouldn't rush in so honestly. First he should, but before Yan-ho could finish his sentence, the masked man calls Yan-ho a bastard. Then Yan-ho starts hitting the masked man with the broom and says he was kindly explaining it to him, and he does this. The masked man thinks Yan-ho is too fast. Then the masked man backs away from Yan-ho. He thinks he doesn't want to admit it, but he has to. It's unbelievable. Yan-ho isn't just a loudmouth. However, in real combat, the strongest doesn't always win. Then he brings out the deadly poison, 7-step soul-chasing serpent. Seeing the poison, Yan-ho tells the masked man doesn't think it's dirty. Yan-ho then says, but poison won't work on him. The masked man asks Yan-ho, is he saying he is I'm to all poisons? Yan-ho says no, he didn't boil and eat ginseng roots or anything. Of course, poison works on him. It's not that Yan-ho is me, it's more like, before finishing the sentence, Yan-ho charges towards the masked man and appears in front of him immediately and strikes the poison dagger out of his hand. Then Yan-ho goes for another strike, and the masked man thinks he must block it. Yan-ho then asks the masked man, did he actually think something like he must block it? Then Yan-ho strikes the masked man, but he couldn't avoid Yan-ho's strike. The masked man again lies on the ground unconscious. Yan-ho then says his master always said if the enemy looks like they are preparing something grand, he shouldn't wait and just knock them out first. Mokpung thinks it's impossible to defeat Hyukul so easily. He is the head of the dark force that his father spent decades building. Yan-ho tells Mokpung if he backs down here, they will both be better off. Then Mokpung claps his hands and with a weird smile says excellent. To display such martial prowess at his age, truly excellent. Yan-ho gets embarrassed. Yunji then asks Yan-ho, why is he pleased hearing Mokpung praising him? Mokpung says it's unfortunate for him that Hyukil couldn't take Yan-ho down, but looking at it another way, just meeting a martial artist like Yan-ho makes it worth it. Mokpung then asks Yan-ho to work for him. Hearing this, Yan-ho gets surprised. Yunji asks Mokpung what is he scheming. With boiling determination, Mokpung tells Yan-ho to come to him. He will give Yan-ho things he can't even imagine. Power to hold the world in his hand and immense wealth. Yan-ho says anyone with sense and honor would never fall for such honeyed words, right? Hearing Yan-ho saying that, Yunji gets moved. But then Yan-ho says he will fall for it and he wants to hear about the numbers. Hearing this, Yunji makes a disgusting face and tells why Yan-ho to just die. Li Huangya screams and asks why Yan-ho, what is he doing? Are power and wealth that important? Shamelessly, Yan-ho says, definitely. Mokpung also agrees with Yan-ho. Yunji also agrees with them. Li Huangya gets flustered and says, that's true, of course. He asks, how much can Mokpung offer anyway? He will give them to Yan-ho. Hearing this, Yan-ho gets intrigued. Mokpung mockingly asks, what does Yan-ho think Li Huangya can do for him? Li Huangya may be the emperor's brother, but he has already given up on both wealth and power. At best, he could get Yan-ho a position as an official. In contrast, Mokpung's father can give Yan-ho all the power and wealth he could ever imagine. Yan-ho tells Li Huangya he is definitely losing right now. Yu Huan cuts in and says helping an evil man with his schemes and conspiracies is very different from helping to reveal the conspiracy. He asks Yan-ho, did his master not teach him morals? Hearing this, Yan-ho asks Yu Huan, is he really talking about Yan-ho's master? While nervous and worried, Yan-ho asks Yan-ho, what did his master say? What did he advise Yan-ho to do in such situations? Yu Huan thinks, seeing as Yan-ho is always mentioning his master, he must value the beliefs of his master very much. There is no way a master would teach his disciple bad morals. Yu Huan is sure Yan-ho's master taught him things that will help them out here. Yan-ho starts saying, his master said, and then stops. That leaves all the scholars in anticipation. Then Yan-ho continues, his master said to stick to the side that will get him more money. Yan-ho continues saying master said that morals and acknowledgement have no value because they are not what will feed you. He said that the right thing to do is to take money when offered, rather than to try and be kind. Hearing that, Yu Huan thinks, what the hell is wrong with both the master and the disciple? Then Mokpung tells Yan-ho that his master is right. What do morals and acknowledgement matter? His father knows to value those who are of help to him. So Mokpung asks Yan-ho, what does he think? Will you work for me? Hearing of work, Yan-ho gets irritated and grits his teeth. He asks, does he have to work? At that moment, Yu Huanji takes the chance and tells Yonho they won't make him do work. They will give him the best food and rest all day, every day. That gets Yonho intrigued. Mokpung also understands what happened and says he was stupid. He tells Yonho he doesn't have to if he doesn't want to, of course. Mokpung will still give Yonho the reward he promised. Yonho asks Mokpung, really? Then Yonho goes towards Mokpung, and while arm-butting him, he tells Mokpung he is so generous. He is a real man. Mokpung awkwardly laughs and says he is nothing compared to Yonho. Seeing their behavior, Yu Huan, Yunji, and Li Huangya boil in rage but can't do anything. Instead, they curse Yonho in their mind. Yonho then asks Mokpung, what does he have to do? As usual, Mokpung laughs a disgusting laugh. He asks Yonho, can he kill all these people first? It's only natural that those who commit treason are sentenced to death. When Yunji looks at Yonho pointing at Mokpung, Yonho casually says that's what Mokpung said. Yonho then asks them, so why did they commit treason? Yu Huanji couldn't hold her frustration. She lashes out and says, what treason? Mokpung is making it up. She asks Yonho, does he really believe Mokpung? Yonho says, but the situation says different. They even found the book of signatures. Yu Huanji then screams at Yonho and calls him a damn bastard. Yonho tells Mokpung he feels like it's a bit much to kill them. Besides, Yonho has never killed anyone before. Mokpung says then he will do it. He orders someone to bring him a sword. Mokpung continues, he doesn't like to dirty his hands, but there should be no hesitation in carrying out sentences. Yu Huan tells Mokpung to stop. Yu Huan is sure Mokpung is a learned man. How can he do something so disloyal to the nation? While ready to strike, Mokpung says what he is doing right now is out of loyalty to the country. Yunji is crying and calling her father. Yu Huan closes his eyes, ready to die. He said sorry to Yunji. When Mokpung is about to cut Yu Huan's head, Yonho stops his sword and tells him, that's enough. Seeing Mokpung couldn't take his sword from Yonho's grip, he wonders how is Yonho so strong. Mokpung then asks Yonho, did he forget what they just talked about? Yonho says, of course not, but he has had enough of playing along. Yonho asks Mokpung, does he know what is necessary to be lazy? It's avoiding trouble. Yonho once broke an ink slab that his father really liked when he wasn't home. He only came back 3 days later, yet those 3 days felt like death. When he finally came back, Yonho was beaten to the brink of death. But Yonho felt much better afterwards. Li Huangya tells Yonho his father should have killed him back then. Mokpung asks Yonho, what the hell is he talking about? Yonho continues, saying his master also said, while he should not forget his hatred, he should also not forget what others have done for him. A person who does not give back what he has received will end up paying more in the end. One needs to pay back what one owes before the interest compounds. Hearing Yonho saying that, Yu Huan, Yunji, and Li Huangya all see him in a new light. Yonho says he thinks it's about time that he pays back his debts. They all get surprised at Yonho. Mokpung says he understands. Yonho said all those words to tell Mokpung Yonho is going to stop him. Then Mokpung laughs a super disgusting laugh. Then he asks Yonho, did he really think Mokpung was trying to scout him because Mokpung was afraid of him? While scratching his head, Yonho says, not really. It didn't seem that way. Mokpung then raises his hand and makes a big palm with ki. While preparing a big move, Mokpung tells Yonho if he wants, he can kill Yonho like he is nothing. Yonho should consider it an honor that Mokpung is the one killing him. Yu Huan and Li Huangya both get surprised seeing Mokpung can also use martial arts. Then Mokpung attacks Yonho with his technique. We see a lot of hands made of chi coming towards Yonho. Mokpung laughs and gives Yonho advice to stop being lazy in his next life. When the palms are about to strike Yonho, Yonho couldn't bear to look at it. Yonho then tells Mokpung, it's strange, but this martial art Yonho has seen somewhere. Mokpung gets happy and thinks, that's right. He used an ultimate technique from the start because Yonho seems skilled, but he can't even react in time. But before Mokpung finishes thinking, Yonho is easily avoiding all the palms. Mokpung gets shocked seeing that, but before he could understand what happened, Yonho appears behind him and asks Mokpung, is he done? While scared and stuttering, Mokpung asks Yonho, how is this possible? Yonho casually tells Mokpung he watched the whole process. Without saying anything else, Yonho kicks Mokpung, which sends him flying into the wall. In style, Yonho then says he needs only one kick for cleaning up trash like Mokpung. All the scholars look at Yonho in awe. Yonho then unties all the people. Li Huangya asks, is Mokpung dead? Yonho says no. He only hit Mokpung lightly and his body is thick with fat. Yonho thinks he is fine. Yunho then approaches Nak Mokpong and, while flexing his arm, Yunho asks, should they continue where they left off? Mokpong tells Yunho to wait and shamelessly asks, why don't they all pretend this never happened? Hearing this, all the others get speechless. Li Huangya then says that's unacceptable and tells Yunho to seize him at once. Addressing Li Huangya as Your Highness, Mokpong pleads to him. Li Huangya asks Mokpong, has he ever seen the Inspector General let a traitor go free? Not Mokpong says if he doesn't return, his father will think the plan has failed, and then he will make one last gamble. No matter how that turns out, the imperial house will suffer irreparable damage. Li Huangya calls Mokpong a wicked man and wonders if they let this one incident slide, the imperial palace won't be bathed in blood. Even if Li Huangya foresees it and tries to stop it, considering Nok Jiwai's forces, it will erupt in chaos. And knowing Nok Jiwai, he will resort to even more vile means. Li Huangya asks Mokpong, is he telling him to just watch traitors run rampant in the imperial court with his own eyes? Mokpong asks, that's politics, is it not? And the inspectorate can grab a weakness of the eunuchs and secure a temporary peace. Hearing that, Li Huangya says he has heard that the eunuchs are like rats, always leaving themselves 10 holes to escape through. Then Li Huangya tells Mokpong to leave while he has the chance. While Mokpong leaves with his men, Yunho asks to allow him one word of advice. Yunho asks Mokpong, his martial art is the art of flowing grace, right? It's a formidable technique. But while Mokpong is also sustaining bone-shrinking art, its effectiveness inevitably drops. If Mokpong truly wishes to face Yunho, it would be wiser to release that transformation. Transformation is a martial technique to alter one's outward form. Now Mokpong says he will keep that in mind for next time. Yunho says he would rather there not be a next time. But Mokpong says there will be, at least while Yunho wears that form, the identity of the genius of Hanlim. After a long night, morning comes, and Yunho sighs and says finally everything's over. Yunho notices all the others are waiting for him. Yunho says he is going to bed, and he will leave the rest to them. Yunji gets angry and asks, he is sleeping again. Yunho says he has full board and lodging rights. Yunji wouldn't dare go back on her word, would she? While running towards the bed, Yunho tells Yunji not to wake him up, and he means it. He will be sleeping straight through until tomorrow. Yunji wonders, what kind of person even is that? Her father and Li Huangya also agree with her. Even after that day, Wai Yunho's day followed in comfort. Li Huangya and Yu Huan were busy cleaning up the aftermath of that day, but none of it had anything to do with Wai Yunho. Every meal, delicious food was brought straight to his room, and no one nagged him for sleeping. Truly a paradise on earth. Then Yunji enters Yunho's room and tells him to wake, but Yunho stays silent as if he is sleeping. Yunji then gets angry and tells Yunho not to pretend to sleep. She knows he is not actually asleep. Then Yunho gets up and asks, what about his full day rest? Yunji tells Yunho her father is calling him. She wasn't the one who called, so he can take it up with her father. Yunji asks Yunho, after lazing in bed for 7 days, he is not going to refuse, is he? Yunho asks, can't he just say he will see her father later? Then Yunji couldn't hold her anger and pulls out the blanket from Yunho, and he drops on the floor. Then she arrives with Yunho. Addressing Li Huangya as my lord, Yunji tells them she brought Yunho. Her father tells them to come in. Then Yunho enters the room. Yu Huan tells Yunji good job, and she can leave now. Then Yunji and Yunho both greet them as if they are both leaving. Seeing this, Li Huangya gets angry and tells Yunho he is not the one to leave. Then Yunho acts and says his highness is telling Yunji to stay. Yunji then gets frustrated and says it's not her but Yunho. We see Li Huangya is on the verge of lashing out. While scratching his head and laughing awkwardly, Yunho sits down. Li Huangya brings out an embroidered sword, but he doesn't do anything. Then Yu Huan reminds him. Then Li Huangya hands over the sword to Yunho. While excited, Yunho takes the sword. Li Huangya asks Yunho, does he even know what that is? Yunho answers no. Li Huangya asks Yunho, then what possessed him to accept it without question? With a money gesture, Yunho says it looked expensive. His master told him if it looks like money, he should grab it first, no questions asked. Li Huangya then tries to explain about that sword, but Yunho cuts him off and says, no takebacks. He tells Li Huangya not to be stingy. Surely a man of his standing, Lord Li Huangya, wouldn't stoop so low as to take back what he has given. Li Huangya says that's not what he meant. Yunho says too late. He already put his spit on the sword, so it's his now. Li Huangya then bursts out and, calling Yunho a damn brat, he tells Yunho to listen for a moment. He will doom his whole clan at this rate. That sword is the sacred relic of the inspectorate. Wherever Yonho goes showing it, people will treat him as Li Huangya's equal. Yonho then brings out the sword and looks for a moment. Seeing Yonho, Li Huangya asks, "Is there a problem?" Yonho asks, "That's it. Isn't there some practical benefit, like being able to buy food or a house?" Li Huangya asks, "And what?" Yonho asks Li Huangya, "Why is he of all people saying this?" Yonho did his part that day. If his lordship is saying this makes them even, that's not good enough. Give and take. That's how the world works. That's just the way of things. These days, people want something more material, more realistic. Yonho gestures and says it's awkward. He can't even say it outright. Li Huangya clenches his fist and asks Yonho, does he want him to forget about the inspectorate's relic and give Yonho money instead? Yonho says not that he would put it so bluntly, but he does have some manners. Li Huangya couldn't hold his anger in and throws an inkstone at Yonho. Yonho catches it and asks, is it his too? It looks pricey. We see poor Yuhuan thinking, but that's his precious inkstone. Li Huangya then calms down and says he will say it again. That sword is the sacred relic of the inspectorate. Wherever Yonho goes, he will be treated as if he holds the same office as Li Huangya. In other words, it's like granting Yonho a post equal to the Inspector General himself. Yonho asks, so it's basically more work for him. Li Huangya says he said it's a government post. Yonho asks, isn't that the same thing? Li Huangya says it's not. Yonho asks, how so? Then Li Huangya tells Yonho to just accept it, that it's different. Yonho says fine. Out of his respect for his elders, he will let it slide. Yuhuan says from long ago the inspectorate has sent secret inspectors into the Central Plains. The position has been vacant for some time. Yuhuan asks Yonho to take it up. Showing the sword, Yonho asks, just with this? Li Huangya then tells Yonho he didn't tell him to govern. It's a reward. Li Huangya will sell even his own house to give Yonho a reward if he must. He calls Yonho a stubborn turtle. Hearing that, Yonho says that's a relief. He thought this would get troublesome. Li Huangya asks, what does he mean? Yonho says it's nothing. Then Li Huangya and Yuhuan remember Yonho's money gesture, and they think Yonho was definitely going to sell the sword off. Li Huangya asks Yonho, what clan is he from, and who is his master? Yonho says he can't say. Li Huangya asks Yonho, he won't answer because he doesn't trust him. Then Li Huangya gets angry and screams at Yonho, saying he knows his rank, yet he still doesn't trust him, and now Yonho means to hide his identity. With a straight face, Yonho says, this isn't about identity. It's about how he can't trust someone who hides his martial arts and puts on an act that's obvious to anyone. He asked Li Huangya, how many seconds would it take him to subdue Nakmokpong? 5 or 3. That catches Li Huangya off guard. Yonho says dancing on someone else's chessboard like this is unpleasant. While releasing his aura with a serious tone, Yonho says he can't stand it. Li Huangya went silent for a moment when he realized that he had been caught. He finally spoke and asked if Yonho had known all along that he was capable of martial arts. Yonho admitted that he had found it strange. He explained that while he knew some people were obsessively devoted to the game of Go, the idea of traveling 400 kilometers just to play was absurd. Yet far too many people had come to that place with the excuse of Play-Go. That led him to assume that there was some kind of hidden plot behind it, and it just so happened that he appeared at the same time. When Mokpong revealed himself, the entire incident escalated. That was the moment Yonho realized he had to make a decision about which side he would take. Li Huangya asked if siding with them had not been the obvious choice. Yonho replied seriously that it had actually been more likely that Mokpong was telling the truth. He reasoned that while the book of signatures might have been fake, the royal head inspector had indeed been secretly gathering people to join his forces. It was hard to believe that such a move was just a casual friendly activity. The most likely explanation was treason. Li Huangya then asked why, if that were the case, Yonho had helped them. Yonho admitted that it was because the girl had called for him. He confessed that his original plan had been to run away if he did not get caught. But since the girl had genuinely seemed ignorant of what was going on, he could not just abandon her. He added that his master always told him that meaning and worldly matters were important, but that it was all for nothing if one could not see the person in front of them. Li Huangya said that was why Yonho had acted the way he did, trying to observe his reaction throughout the incident. Yonho agreed, but he added bluntly that it had felt awful. Then he got to the point and asked directly whether Li Huangya was planning treason. Li Huangya challenged him by asking what he would do if he admitted that he was. Yonho answered that, in that case, he would simply go to sleep comfortably. Li Huangya pressed further, asking if that would still be the case even if he truly intended to commit treason. Yonho shot back sarcastically, asking if Li Huangya wanted him to pray for his success. Li Huangya then asked if Yuan Ho had no loyalty to the emperor. Yuan Ho answered honestly that he had never received anything from the emperor, so why should he feel any loyalty toward him? He admitted that he would rather cheer for Li Huangya, especially since Li Huangya had at least given him gold. The two men locked eyes in silence for a long moment. Then Li Huangya suddenly burst into laughter. His laughter filled the room as he admitted that while he had expected Yuan Ho to be clever, he turned out to be far better than anticipated. After laughing, Li Huangya grew serious again and swore on his own head. He declared that they were not planning treason. Instead, they had been gathering forces in preparation against Nok-ji. Yuan Ho acknowledged his words with a quiet response. Li Huangya continued by explaining the real problem. Nok-ji had already caught on to their movements. He revealed that the reason Nok-ji had sent Mokpung was not to target him directly, but to force him into a position where he would have to kill Mokpung. If that had happened, Nok-ji would have been able to expose the fact that he had been hiding his martial arts skills and gathering allies. He admitted that it had been Yuan Ho's unexpected intervention that disrupted Nok-ji scheme. After confessing this, Li Huangya bowed deeply toward Yuan Ho. He apologized if his actions had seemed displeasing, and explained that he had never intended to manipulate him like a piece on a go-board. He explained that he and Yu Huan had simply been desperate at that moment. Yuan Ho responded with a short reply, telling him it was fine. Li Huangya insisted again, asking him to believe his words. Yuan Ho repeated that it was fine. Then Li Huangya shifted the topic and asked whether Yuan Ho would be willing to take on the role of secret royal inspector. Yuan Ho made himself clear immediately, saying that he would never actively seek out work. Li Huangya told him it did not matter, because the world would not leave him alone even if he tried to avoid it. Yuan Ho pouted and asked if that was meant to be an insult. Li Huangya smirked and said that it was not an insult, but rather the path of a hero. Yuan Ho rejected the notion outright, saying no thanks. Li Huangya warned him that he could not deny fate. At that, Yuan Ho stood up and declared that he was leaving. Before he could exit, Li Huangya also stood and said that he too would be leaving that day. Yuan Ho added with a final remark that, truthfully, he hoped they would never see each other again. Li Huangya smiled and answered that he had a feeling they would. Once Yuan Ho was gone, Yu Huan appeared at Li Huangya's side. He asked for Li Huangya's thoughts. Li Huangya admitted with a grin that Yuan Ho had surpassed his expectations. He had known Yuan Ho's martial arts were impressive, but he had not expected him to be sharp enough to notice that he himself knew martial arts. He confessed that he had thought he had picked up a dragon, but in reality Yuan Ho was more like a monster. If they were not careful, there was a chance he might end up devouring them instead. Yu Huan countered by saying that the risk was worth it. Li Huangya continued, pointing out that martial prowess was not the only factor. Yuan Ho was intelligent as well. He had understood everything that was happening but chose not to move until the very end. That combination of strength and patience made him even more dangerous. Li Huangya admitted that he was curious to know who had trained such a monster. He then gave an order to Yu Huan, instructing him to investigate everything about Yuan Ho. Even if he could not find information about his deceased master, he must at least uncover which family Yuan Ho came from. Yu Huan nodded and promised that he would. Later that night, Yuan Ho lay on the roof, basking in the moonlight. A voice called out from below, asking if he was planning to leave. Yuan Ho sat up, looked down, and saw Yu Huan. He told him that he would not leave without saying a proper goodbye after being allowed to stay there and being fed. Yu Huan pointed out that Yuan Ho had been planning to leave soon. Yuan Ho admitted that was true, but he also said he had learned a lot while staying there. Yu Huan asked him what he had learned. Yuan Ho said that the two most important lessons were that even scholars who read extensively often failed to live according to the texts they studied, and that Wulin itself was a frightening place. Yu Huan asked what he meant by frightening. Yuan Ho explained that he had never expected the strongest person he had encountered in the Zhengyil to be someone in Wulin. Yu Huan admitted that Li Huangya's martial prowess was indeed impressive. Yuan Ho smirked, looked at Yu Huan firmly, and asked why he did not drop the act. Yu Huan was visibly shocked and asked if Yuan Ho had known from the start. Yuan Ho replied that he had. Yu Huan sighed and said that was not good, then asked him for a favor. Yuan Ho reassured him, promising not to tell anyone. Yu Huan went further and pleaded with him, saying that he wished to continue living as a scholar. Yuan Ho agreed but demanded something in return. He told Yu Huan to answer one question. Yu Huan gave permission for him to ask. Yuan Ho explained that his master had told him to go see the world in Wulin, and he had expected to witness justice or something similar. Instead, what he saw was only the dirtiness of the world. Yu Huan lowered his head and responded seriously. He explained that everyone carried an ideal in their hearts, but each person's ideal differed. When those ideals clashed, people realized they had to surpass reality in order to bring their ideals to life. Everyone knew they should sever worldly ties, but undoing such a knot took too long and often failed even after years of effort. Those without patience sought shortcuts, trying to cut the knot out completely. That path created arrogant people with dirty consciences, who either threw away their own lives or sacrificed their adopted sons. Yunho then asked if the entire world was like that. Yuhuan answered that the palace was even worse in some ways, though he did not think other places were much different. Yunho lifted his head and admitted that he still did not understand what his master had wanted him to see. He confessed that the world moved too quickly for someone as lazy as him to grasp. Yuhuan reassured him by saying that was good enough. He explained that if the world moved fast, then he could simply chase it slowly. Those who were fast might see and learn much, but those who were slow might notice the details better. There was no point in knowing ahead of time what he was supposed to see or feel. He should walk at his own pace and see the world with his own eyes. In doing so, the world itself would reveal the path he should take. Yunho's eyes widened at these words. He repeated them to himself, saying he should experience the world as it was and himself as he was. He closed his eyes, and in that moment, he felt enlightenment. A surge of aura engulfed his body as he meditated deeply. From below, Yuhuan looked up and smiled. In an instant, he appeared beside Yunho on the roof. After some time, Yunho slowly opened his eyes. Yuhuan turned his head toward him and asked if he felt like he had learned something. Yunho stood, scratched his head, and admitted with embarrassment that he did not know. Yuhuan laughed heartily, saying it was fine as long as he understood in his own way. With that, Yuhuan disappeared from the roof in a flash and reappeared on the ground. Before walking away, he turned his head once more and said that he hoped Yunho would one day find his answer. Yunho watched him leave, then lay back down on the roof. He looked at his chest and thought to himself that he felt something, wondering whether the orb his master had given him had done something. He then looked up at the full moon and imagined his master's face looking down on him, asking if he understood now. Yunho turned to his side and muttered softly to himself that he did not yet. A few weeks later, Yuhuan entered Yunho's room. He stood before the young man, who was once again lying lazily on his bed. Yuhuan asked if he had not said that he would be leaving soon. Yunho immediately sat up and answered that, since it was already late today, he would leave tomorrow. He assured him it would truly be tomorrow this Thais. Yuan replied that it had already been half a month since he had said the same thing. Yunho simply pointed out that sometimes things became delayed. Yuhuan conceded that might be true but insisted that it was still an issue. At that moment, a voice rang out from outside, announcing with formality, "Thank you for calling on the Swift Dragon Escort Bureau, a place of tradition and history." Yuhuan turned his head toward the sound with curiosity. The voice drew closer as it continued, asking what cargo they must transport. The door to the room opened and Yunji appeared. She stepped inside, pointed coldly toward Yunho, and declared that he was the one. Yunho blinked in confusion, pointed to himself, and asked if she truly meant him. A heavy silence filled the room until one of the escort warriors glanced at Yunji and remarked that the one she had indicated looked like a person. Yunji placed her hands firmly on her waist and stated that it only appeared that way. In her view, he was no different from baggage. Another escort warrior gestured toward Yunho and explained that they did escort people, but in such cases, a carrier was sent separately. He emphasized that in an escort meant for transporting goods, it would be difficult to bring someone along. Yunji turned away, crossed her arms, and spoke coldly. She told them there was no need to worry. After all, cattle and chickens were also loaded into the cargo wagon. Yunho might look human, but to her he was no different. She instructed them to place him on top of the baggage, feed him 3 meals a day, and assured them he would not cause trouble. She then offered to pay the fare as if he were a passenger. No, she corrected herself. She would pay double. She demanded they take him with them. The escort warrior tried to insist that no matter how much she offered, there were still rules they had to follow. Before he could finish, Yunji sharply cut him off and shouted that she would pay triple. The warrior persisted, saying they still had rules, but Yunji raised her voice even louder and screamed that she would pay quadruple. Without hesitation, she and the warrior shook hands in agreement. Another escort warrior leaned toward Yunho and told him that they would accept him, asking him to come along. Yunho, still sitting on his bed, protested loudly. He shouted at Yunji, demanding to know if she would seriously say that they would load him like baggage and send him away. Yunji pouted, looked aside, and remarked that at least he was quick-witted. Yu Huan, watching the exchange, asked his daughter what on earth was going on. Yunji responded bluntly that it seemed best to get rid of this freeloader quickly. Yanho shouted even louder, declaring that it was unbelievable. He said he had heard mortals had declined, but he never imagined it had come to this. He reminded them that he was the benefactor who had saved them, yet they would now sell him off like baggage. Yuhuan turned to him and admitted that it was true. Still, he reasoned that, since they had received grace from him, they should at least allow him to act freely for now as a gesture of gratitude. Yan Ho turned away, lay back down on his bed, and faced the opposite direction. Yunji added sharply that if things were left this way, he would probably remain there until the next year. In Hei's eyes, what she was doing was helping him. Hearing this, Yonho instantly sat back up and shouted at her, demanding how she could possibly call it helping. Yunji pointed directly at him and reminded him that he had once said he would go to the Hebrew Sacred Beast Pavilion. Yonho froze in surprise and asked what she meant. She explained that since the route led to Hubei, he could simply travel with the escort bureau going there. She argued that walking all the way himself would be troublesome and exhausting. Yan Ho admitted that her reasoning was true, though he hesitated. Yunji, wearing a faint grin, told him that he could ride in a wagon pulled by horses, the escort bureau would earn their pay, and she and her father would finally be rid of him. She concluded that this was a path where everyone benefited. Yunho's expression grew serious, and he admitted that Yunji's argument was very persuasive. After a short silence, he finally stood up. Yunji ordered him to stop talking and follow the escort warriors. As he followed them, he muttered that his mother had always told him never to follow strangers. Yunji reassured him that it was fine, insisting that the men were trustworthy, that their status was legitimate, and that there was nothing to worry about. Yan Ho still looked reluctant, but followed nonetheless. A short while later, he sat atop the wagon, resting on the goods. He admitted aloud that he had not expected to leave so suddenly and said he would be going. Standing in front of him, Yunji and her father bid him farewell. Yu Huan told him to take care of himself. Yunho looked at Yunji, who wore a wide grin, and remarked that she seemed very pleased. She answered with amusement, asking if it was that obvious. Yunho turned to the escort warrior and instructed them to depart. As the wagon began moving, he lay down on the baggage but turned his body sideways, glancing one last time at Yunji and Yu Huan. Yunji waved and shouted for him to stay healthy. Annoyed, Yunho yelled back, asking how she could drive him out and then tell him to stay well. Yunji retorted that he should also fix his laziness. Yunho pouted, muttered his reluctant agreement, and waved back at them. Once he had left, Yu Huan turned to his daughter and told her to come inside. She agreed but glanced back one last time at Yunho, who was already in the distance. A warm smile spread across her face as the gusting wind blew past her. After some time, the escort warriors made a stop. A stern-looking man approached, displeasure clear on his face, and introduced himself as Gok Biyang, the head of the Swift Dragon Escort Bureau. He looked at Yunho, who was still asleep on top of the wagon, and asked the others if this was truly the item. One of the warriors confirmed it. Gok Biyang frowned and asked if they were to play games with him, demanding if they knew how much more preparation was required when a person joined an escort. The warrior explained that they had wanted to refuse, but since the request came from the prestigious Hanlin Great Academy, they could not decline. Gok Biyang asked since when Yunho had been in such a state. The warrior answered that it had been ever since he left the academy. Gok Biyang crossed his arms, studied Yunho still sound asleep, and thought to himself that the young man never seemed to tire, which in its own way was impressive. Another warrior added that the academy had instructed them to simply feed him 3 meals a day, as if he were cattle or chickens, and he would behave until arrival without causing trouble. Gok Biyang admitted that he could not understand it at all. He called out to Yunho, but the young man did not stir. Irritated, Gok Biyang knocked on the wooden crate below him and shouted again. At last, Yunho opened his eyes, looked at him, and asked what he wanted. Clearing his throat, Gok Biyang introduced himself as the head of the escort. Yunho asked curtly, and Gok Biyang explained that the escort was not about serving people, but transporting goods. If Yunho insisted on coming along, it might be quite inconvenient. He asked if he was still willing. Yunho replied that there was no need to worry, since he was registered not as a person, but as cargo. Gok Biyang warned that it would be uncomfortable, but Yunho assured him he could endure it. If all he needed to do was lie still until they arrived, then it was worth it. Amused, Gok Biyang remarked that he was a remarkably positive fellow. He then turned away and ordered the group to depart. Yunho waved lazily and told him he would be in their care. 5 days passed since leaving the Hanlin Great Academy. One morning, Yan Ho awoke, stretched, and yawned. He muttered to himself that the situation was unbearable. If he stayed awake, he felt tortured, and if he slept, that fraudulent master of his appeared in his dreams to harass him. He cursed the dream lotus arts and wondered how long this torment would continue. What if it lasted his entire life? Frustrated, he dismissed the thought, muttered that he no longer cared, and lay back down. Up ahead, Gok Byung noticed movement in the bushes and ordered the group to stop. He called out firmly, introducing himself and requesting an audience. Yonho sat up slightly, glanced forward, and muttered that it might be Bandit. Gok Byung remained tense. He thought to himself that if no one revealed themselves, this was not good. If they stalled for time like this, it meant they were either ignorant, beginner bandit, or a truly dangerous figure was targeting the wagon. If it was the former, they were fortunate. He placed his hand on his sword and drew it halfway, his thoughts sharpening. He could not sense any presence within the thicket, which meant these were no clueless novices. He raised his voice again, warning that if the figure did not step forward, he would regard it as an attack against the escort bureau. Everyone went silent, their attention fixed on the bush. After a tense moment, the leaves rustled and a broad man emerged. The escort warriors drew their swords, but the man calmly placed his weapon on the ground, bowed, and introduced himself as Paying Doguk of the Hubei Paying clan. Recognizing the name, Gok Byung bowed in return and asked why a descendant of the Paying clan was traveling there. Paying Doguk grabbed his sword again, clutched his stomach, and explained that he was being pursued by enemies. He admitted that he could not shake them off alone and begged for their aid. He warned that this matter could grow into a crisis for the entire martial world. Yon Ho, still lying down on the wagon, merely looked at Paying Doguk in silence. Much later in the future, the divine mad dog recounted the memory to the historian. He said that this had been the encounter with Paying Dog, the man who had once turned the historian away at the gates. At that time, even Paying Dog himself had not realized that this single meeting would push him into the river of misfortune. Don't forget to like and subscribe to watch the next parts.